It's a positive film. It has heroes and villains, and that it essentially is a fun movie to watch. It's been a long time since people have been able to go to the movies and see a sort of straightforward, wholesome, fun adventure.
Well, it's a fantasy. It's not science fiction so much as it is space fantasy. And it's about people. It's finally about people and not finally about science.
The story, when you actually put it into words, is only so much nonsense to hang a great visual experience onto. It's the stuff that fairy tales are made of.
Sort of boiling down religion into a very basic concept. The fact that there is some deity or some power or some force that sort of controls our destiny works for good and also works for evil.
Marvelous, healthy innocence. Great pace, wonderful to look at, full of guts, nothing unpleasant. I mean, people go bang bang and people fall over and are dead, but no horrors. A sort of wonderful freshness about it, kind of like a wonderful fresh air.
It's got whatever you want it to be. It's pure entertainment. It's like a roller coaster ride, and it can be interpreted as long as you enjoy it, which is the intention.
Hello and welcome back to Generation Skywalker and episode 18 of The Modern Way. I'm Dan Burgess, and if you haven't guessed it already, we haven't got Stuart with us this month, and we haven't got Craig, and we haven't got Mark. But joining me this month, and my wingman, Maverick to my goose, I've got Jez with me. How are you doing, Jez?
Yeah, good evening, mate. I'm very well, thank you.
We're on our own tonight, but maybe not. So, if I'm Goose and you're Maverick, what do you think that makes our guest?
Oh, I don't know, Kelly McGillis?
Oh, I was going to say Iceman, but yeah.
That's awkward.
So we have got with us, it's a great pleasure to introduce Mr. Dave Tree. How you doing, Dave?
Hey, guys. Well, no, thanks for having me on. This is a real honour. It's great that I've been called up to do this because after Attack of the Clones month, that burnout on everyone, that strain of like literally putting out all that content all related to Attack of the Clones. I mean, if that was just one thing, that's hard enough, but like because of the amount that you guys did, it's no surprise, the numbers have fallen. So, like, if I'm here for the backup, first of all, I'm sorry, but like second of all, it's a great honour to be here. So thank you very much.
Iceman, you are completely welcome. He says, burying himself out of the big hole he's just dug. So yeah, Iceman, Viper. You call yourself what you want.
What do you reckon Stu is? I reckon he's Jester. I reckon he'd be the Jester.
You can't beat a bit of Michael Ironside, can you? So like,
I was going to go, yeehaw, Jester's dead, but that's probably not that's not a nice thing to say as he's not here. But cool. Okay, so Dave, we obviously know you from Farthest From and all the shows you put on down in Fordingbridge, and we know you own a toy shop. But in terms of modern, what's your collecting habits? What do you pick up modern wise?
I'm in a possibly enviable situation of running a toy store, and I do a lot of work with Hasbro and I do a lot of work with Lego. So you are seeing all these things and you're constantly promoting them, particularly the way that on the Hasbro side of things work now. It's all done in advance, it's all pre-order, not like necessarily look what's coming today, it's in hand, it's a new toy type thing. And similar to yourselves, where you've taken on Generation Skywalker as an endeavor, when you start like literally looking into these things, you start getting sidetracked from what you would traditionally be doing and be interested in, and you start picking up all like, well, maybe not so much yourself, Daniel, but like certainly I know on Jez and Stu's side of things, and Mark, my God, hasn't he come a long way? But like the fact that you're sort of being subjected to this stuff, it's quite easy to get diverted. So I don't collect everything, but I do collect a lot. But what I do is always I I always, for a long time now, I just go for the things that I love, and I like the look of, and quite often you get influenced by other people as well, so their feedback, and they say, oh no, if you've not got this, you want to get one of those while you can. But I open things up because I like to engage and interact with it. And I just recently picked up a vintage collection, Miggs Mayfeld, and I've got to be honest, I think that is possibly the best action figure I've seen so far this year. It's absolutely perfect, even in its diminutive size. So yeah, I haven't got the full Mandalorian collection, if that makes any sense. I'm not going for a focus. I'm not going for any theme. It's just completely random. And the great thing on that is you're never necessarily disappointed because you're always going for the things that you want, not necessarily tied down to the things that you feel like you have to get or you're obliged to get. But the drawback of that is you end up with a ton of stuff, because if you can then multiply that with all the different Star Wars licenses, and then you multiply that not just with Star Wars, but all the other toy lines, particularly when you run a toy shop that you have a passing interest in, be it Transformers, G.I. Joe, Masters of the Universe, and so Ghostbusters, so on and so forth. You end up just being buried in this stuff. It's crazy.
On the vintage collection, I'm trying to be good with that. So I've only been buying the Rogue One figures. I let go of all my Mandalorian ones, but I've got a good friend of mine, Gavin, who came round a couple of months ago because he had a bunch of his vintage stuff that he was selling, and he saw my collecting room and he was like, holy. So he's decided now that even though he sold his vintage, he started picking up all of the vintage collection Mandalorian figures, and he keeps sending me these photos through. I don't think his wife's particularly happy. He sold all this stuff and now he's buying it all back.
How many times have we been through that in one form or another? Or you think you're done with this, and then like a boomerang or a bad penny, you start picking it up again. And you're just like, oh, but genuinely, that's half the fun, anyways. Is the chasing down and the acquisition of this stuff, not necessarily always just owning it. There's a lot to be said about the fun of actually researching it and digging it out and finding it and getting hold of it.
Absolutely, and it is a lot to keep on top of as well, isn't it? If until we really started looking at this, and we've been doing this a couple of years now, it's the amount of product coming out is just crazy. It's just relentless. You think you go a couple of weeks, they haven't done much the last couple of weeks, and then you just get a barrage of it. I think there's 80 or 90 Black Series and vintage collection figures on pre-order at the minute.
It is quite crazy the way that. And you would have thought in a non-movie year and with a global pandemic going on as well, that you would have thought that there would have been, you could almost understand that if they almost dialed things back a little bit. But no, like you say, and that's not necessarily just Star Wars either. It's across the board with respect to Hasbro. They have literally been maxing this stuff out across all of their brands, like Transformers and Marvel. Marvel is just insane. I genuinely feel sorry for Marvel Legends collectors, because they are probably pumping out a whole wave of figures, 7 figures at a time, or 8 figures, almost on a monthly basis. You just can't keep up with it. It's just absolutely crazy.
And what's your view? So I'm going to ask you all these questions because we've got you on here.
Sure.
Take full advantage. So with the Marvel figures, so my boy collects some of those. So we see him in the shop, he'll go, "Oh, Dad, can I get one?" And last year they had the What If series, didn't they? So there was the What If series, and they had a zombie Captain America and a Spider-Man with Doctor Strange's cape and a handful of others. And they literally landed a weekend or two. It felt like they landed a weekend or two after those episodes were released on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But with Star Wars, they'll announce an Obi-Wan Kenobi figure, we're probably going to get onto in a little bit, but it won't be due out till next January. This seems to be such a much longer lead time on the Star Wars stuff than the Marvels. Is that the right perception? So
with respect to action figure design and production, so a little bit of background in terms of myself. So I've always been involved with the toy industry in one form or another, and I have done freelance work for Hasbro, and I've been involved with product design and development on various different action figure ranges like G.I. Joe and Transformers as well as third party companies who, with the advent of Kickstarter, have started doing their own brands and stuff like that. And typically it is about an 18-month production window from the initial concept design through to that product being ready. And I will say that historically Hasbro have always done a pretty good job to have product ready at the time of when it's relevant for its launch. But in the past 5 years, it's just completely changed. And what they do now is they'll have almost like borrowing the early bird certificate concept of, well, we don't actually have this thing ready, but we'll show you a picture, and that's as good as enough, because you're watching it on telly at the moment. So we'll give you a picture of a Mandalorian figure that we're going to have because you're watching The Mandalorian, but it won't be out for another 6 months. And we'll say it won't be out for another 12 months, but we'll try and get it out quicker. Honestly, there's no excuse for that, because you're talking about one of the world's biggest toy companies. They should be able to do it. Now, whether or not that is, it's not necessarily all at Hasbro's feet. It could actually be partly a Disney thing, that they are tighter with their controls of that information being out there. Now, where I said about the 18 months, during the Clone Wars era, the animated cartoon, Lucasfilm would work very closely with Hasbro and provide images of characters and notes. And even though the episodes might not necessarily be fleshed out, you would have kind of almost like a bit of more sort of like concepts to go on. And that is why in that, if you look at that like toy line, you had some very strange characters that only appeared in one episode or blink and you miss them kind of thing, but they still got an action figure made of it. And that was because at that point in time, the decision was made to make that action figure, and not much information was known about it. And Lucasfilm would say, yep, that's great, we'll do that. And then maybe Hasbro would have some input and say, well, look, we kind of want to like do some more clones because it's cheap. We've done the design, can we bring in new colorways, and it'd be a back and forth going on that front. But fundamentally, the product would be ready when that episode or that season would come about, give or take. Not always, but for the majority of it. And the last time you really saw that was Force Awakens. And that's how you ended up with things like Constable Zuvio, Sergeant Clank, Hasek Thugs, all of these things that were literally like genuine, truly background characters, which I love, by the way. The product was ready, and it came out in successive waves before the movie, during the movie, and then after the movie. And that was really the last time that Hasbro properly handled a brand launch, because by the time you got to The Last Jedi, it was just not even background characters. It was the majority of it was all like rehashes and people that you knew you were going to have, like Rey, Finn, Poe, Kylo, and whatnot. It wasn't really that big. And then from there, it was almost like, well, let's just transfer this purely to a pre-order thing, a preview thing. And so we're hitting the hype, but there is no product. There is no physical thing. So it's really frustrating, particularly as a retailer, because you're being harassed.
I was going to say, are you getting mums coming in looking for their kids for a Mando for Christmas? No, not. It's from collectors, because the other thing that Hasbro now do is there is no simultaneous launch. Like 10 years ago, you would have when something is launched, everybody got the stock at the same time, and it didn't matter where you were, if you were big, small. It all in the distribution chain. It went boom, simultaneous. Now you get drip fed, so you won't necessarily get the full wave of figures. You'll get one figure, and then you'll be waiting months for other figures to turn up. Or even within that one figure, you'll get, say, 10% of your first of the order that you made, and then next week you'll get another 10%, and then you won't get anything for a month, and then you'll get another 10%. So you get all these people who've been sat waiting their expectations, because they've mentally bought this 6 months ago, and they see on Facebook someone's got their figure through. So it's like, where is it? Where's mine? Have you got an update on this order? And every single retailer is in the same boat, but getting all of the, understandably, the grievances from all the customers. And Hasbro doesn't have to manage any of that, because they created that situation of this pre-order, of making everybody to commit mentally
months and months in advance, they without actually sort of like seeing it. And it's also sort of like semi-self-destructive as well, because you particularly with Pulse and with HasLab, Mike, I'm really going sidetrack here, sorry, but like HasLab and Pulse are actually very bad for the future of collecting, and a lot of people may poo-poo this, but HasLab means that you will never walk into a toy shop and you will never see the big Millennium Falcon on a shelf anymore. Those must-have big statement pieces for Christmas. You'll never see that. That is now completely eliminated that. So you won't have the wide distribution of this stuff, which is actually marketing the toys. We're in a position within the Star Wars toy market that you don't have anything new coming in at the lower levels. You've got like the Jedi Force, but there's no kind of cheap version of an action figure. It's Jedi Force, and then straight into like $16.99 now, which is not a price point for kids. I can tell you that as someone who sells toys for a living. $16.99 on Lego, you'll get away with. $16.99 on an action figure, no. It's like Pokemon cards. The parent will go, no, you're not having that. So you need something cheaper. You need a sub £10 line to kind of be there. That's not necessarily the preschool perception of like the Galactic Heroes or Jedi Force or whatever they change the name to each time. But when you've also then got Pulse in the mix as well, that's bad, because all Hasbro are wanting to do is eliminate all the retailers and sell direct to consumer. Now, reason that's bad is two. For one, is if Hasbro do that, they're actually making money hand over fist, because they are having the retailers margin as well as the wholesale margin and selling to the consumer. Obviously, I'm going to say that as a retailer, but where this is like bad as from a consumer level, if you're not seeing what is going on, you are literally just tied to that one channel. And it's not really been discussed, but Hasbro have even been scalping their own product before pack. And that was in the UK. That was like about 45 quid, 46, 7 quid.
Yeah.
And then they upped it to like by a tenner.
Didn't they they got a load of lashback. There was a load of backlash over that, wasn't there? And they had to drop it back down.
Yeah. All their other figure packs was still the same price. So it's like you are literally scalping your own product that you're already doubling your money on because you're not paying a retailer's margin. And you're really taking advantage of your consumer base there. And you'll start seeing this. So you won't get like retailer exclusives. It'll all just tie back into like Pulse and things like that. And it's quite a dangerous sort of scenario to potentially go towards. And it's inevitable. It will ultimately be that in one form or another. But yeah, Hasbro are playing very strategic moves at the moment with HasLab. We're getting you to commit to something, and if it doesn't work, we won't make it. One of the world's biggest toy companies don't need to do that. You should just do it. You've also got like the pre-order of like, we're getting you to commit to something way in advance of it actually being ready.
Even as a Pulse member, the free postage is all you get, and I don't think that's enough of a draw to want to shop exclusively through Hasbro.
For now, there isn't, and that's why, again, beating the drum of the independents. Please support all independents. Doesn't matter where you get it from, as long as you're supporting an independent. That is fundamentally the most important thing. But you'll find that Pulse will have more and more exclusives. So it will be your only outlet. So you will bit by bit become acclimatized to it being your go-to, because every wave that comes out, there'll be a Pulse exclusive. So you end up just like putting all your orders through Pulse one way or another. You're not going to get your Midnight Madness anymore. And that's really tragic.
It is. It's sad.
So what is being done to support that brand? And you might get the odd thing here and there. But if you look at for whose advantage is this, you can see that it's almost like working with a casino. You can see that the house will always win, and you can see that Hasbro in particular are maneuvering things within the toy industry to benefit themselves and potentially protect themselves as well, which may be their sort of like fundamental reasons for doing it. But you've got Lego as a good example, who do direct to consumer. They have their own brand stores, but they still strongly support all the independent channels, and you still get things like point of sale, displays, promotions, deals, and things like that going on. But you won't find that with Hasbro. And that sounds a bit sort of like snarky, but when you're dealing with lots of different manufacturers and brands, there are some that are absolutely fantastic to work with, and there are some that you're just like a payphone. Yeah, you're just pumping money into this thing all the time, and you're wondering, where do you see the relationship in this? A really good company, British company, that is absolutely fantastic to work with is Games Workshop. Now, they do all the Space Marines and stuff like that, but they understand it absolutely fundamentally. Even with their stores, the most difficult thing is to get people to come into their store. So what they'll do is they will support any independent that has their products. They will give free delivery every single week for one order, you know, so it could be like a pot of paint or it could be a million things. They give you a marketing budget so you can spend this on product to give away, painting demos, you know, all of these things they work on, you know, and they're very, very clever. They're very, very shrewd at what they do. But also, complete opposite to Hasbro, they do product release, a phenomenal amount of product development. And I couldn't even tell you what's happening in 2 weeks' time. I can only tell you what's happening next week. But when that goes up on pre-order, the following week, it's delivered to you. Yeah. So there's a 7-day window of pre-order for that product. And what that shows you is that it can work, because those guys have gone from strength to strength to strength. I mean, they were in the gutter like nearly 10 years ago, and they've managed to really turn it around. And they've managed to turn it around with working with their retailers and understanding how to market this stuff, to support how it's marketed, and then also still maintaining incredible product development in the same way that Hasbro do, and do it in the way that you're not kind of waiting forever. We'll show you on Saturday, but next Saturday you can walk into a store and pick it up. You know, it's brilliant. And, you know, Playmobil are fantastic, Lego's fantastic, but Hasbro... Hasbro do a lot of really good things, but you know, like I said, when you've got an ulterior motive going on, and it is starting to really shine through, particularly with Pulse and HasLab, I don't think they are necessarily interested in the toy retail markets as we've grown up with over the years.
That's brilliant. That's been brilliant to listen to, Dave. But we got a flavour of where you are with all of this. Talking of, I think, pumping money into the machine, I think it's a good time to talk about Jez's new acquisitions, because you mentioned Mark has turned around on Modern, but I think Jez has too in the last month or so.
Oh.
Yeah. If I look back at the conversation when we had the Farthest From Roundup, where we were talking about things changing and people starting to get into Modern, and I think I said, oh yeah, maybe watch this space, let's just see what happens. Fast forward just a few months, and yes, I'm a changed person. And I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm feeling, I don't know, giddy's the wrong term, but I've got this renewed excitement about collecting Star Wars. It's really taken me back to 2009 of what I was like when I first got back into vintage again as an adult, as a grown-up. And I'm loving it. Really didn't see it coming. Oh, late to the party, but really, really enjoying it now I'm here.
I think that's really good though, because to be able to kind of get back into that and be okay with it, because some people are quite sort of shady about it, because they're worried about, I'm going, you know, because I've been down this route before, but now I'm only vintage, and now I'm kind of slipping back into these things. Because I get the mick taken out of me all the time for the things that I buy, and I couldn't give two hoots because I'm buying it for me, not anybody else.
Yeah, totally.
So I think that's amazing that you've done that.
What I really like about this, and the world which we're moving into now, there's a lot more awareness, understanding, appreciation of mental health matters and things like that, and just what keeps us going, what keeps us ticking, and little wins, small victories and stuff like that, things to sort of look forward to. And for me, Star Wars collecting was very much part of that. It was one of the small joys that we had, you know, in let's face it, at the moment, things are tough economically for everyone. So vintage collecting, from a market point of view, struggling with that. So I'm losing that buzz, losing that hit, and I'm now getting that back again, be it a trip to the local shop. You know, I wish I lived closer to you, Dave, but I know that we'll come onto your store and the fantastic opportunities that your store can bring, not only people who are local, but in other aspects. But even things like eBay and everything else, you know, getting things for £2.50. I'm like, this is completely taking me back to 2009. It's really weird, because now I've got it. I've got that whole, when we used to be on the forums and we'd see, oh, here we go, another new collector just getting carried away and hoovering up everything.
And
I'm like, that's me. Slow down. And I want to know more. I'm trying to discover more. And then I was just like, I've got a spare afternoon, Saturday afternoon. I'm gonna take a trip into Reading Town, and I know that there's an HMV there and there's an entertainer there, and this is exciting. I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't know what they'll be. And I go to one of these toy shops, which has got the rack's got the vintage collection, which we'll come to. And I'm there going, which one do I want? Which one do I want? It's like I'm a child again. And then I'm looking at them, and now I'm thinking, I'm not going to get the one at the front because that's being sort of manhandled and fingered and this that, and the other. It might be a little bit bent. Which one's straight? Which one's got the best condition? Which one's let's have a little look at the bubble. So there's still an element of me as the sort of vintage collector wanting something to look really good and nice and pristine, but also the excitement of getting something new and just thinking, do you know what? That's probably cost me a pint or two. Whereas if I'm getting a similar hit from an original vintage sort of 78 to 85 run, it's a lot more money. So for me, whilst I'm dealing with all the other pressures of life in the 21st century and everything else, I'm actually getting a lot of joy from doing this, and I'm quite happy to talk about that.
So what are your favourites? You've been sending me pictures all month of what you've been picking up, Jez. What's your rather than reeling off the list, because there is quite a bit. What are your I don't know, top 3 or top 5 bits you've picked up this month?
Sure. Okay. The vintage collection. Some people love, some people, can take them or leave them. What I like about the vintage collection is I'm buying them, and I'm buying them to keep on the cards, which again seems strange to people, but I like the idea of having one from each release on a card, and I can very easily then have those displayed. But this is becoming more and more difficult, because initially I was like, right, okay, so we can have Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Sith, the original trilogy, then the sequels, right, okay, so now there's going to be Book of Boba Fett, right, undoubtedly there'll be an Andor, Kenobi, and you think, there's probably going to be about 18 or 19 with your solos and your Rogue Ones, and they all add up. And now they've got the game greatest ones, the Force Unleashed and Jedi Fallen Order and all those other things which are now coming out, and you're thinking, steady on a bit. But that's great, the expanded universe and stuff, so I like that. I know some people just think that some of the titling of them is a little bit lazy. Some of the titles work really, really nicely. So, some of the card designs and card art and stuff like that. You've got the Clone Wars stuff, the Bad Batch. It's in itself just to say, I want one from each. And I think that's a nice little mini sort of side focus to go along. And you can just do that bit by bit. So the vintage collection, I think, is great. When we did the Attack of the Clones month, and we looked at the toys Saga collection, and we looked at various things in Saga, and there was that god-awful Luke Jedi while he was on Bespin. He was
the Jedi dual one.
It was the Jedi dual one. And I ended up, I've got that. Grant's picked up that for me, because I was like, that's just horrific.
It's great.
So I've got one of those. It is just the most awful thing ever. I mean, you said give me 3. I don't know. See, one thing which really surprised me, I thought, from the Power of the Force run, I love Power of the Force 2, and looking at all the various different things, because it's really surprised me with what there is, the expanded universe side of it, and then all the bits, which they came with all like little bits and pieces, didn't they? So you had the, so the flashback photos, I like that side of it. I can't pinpoint it. The 500th figure, the Vader.
Oh, what, the Vader in the meditation chamber?
The Vader in the little chamber. See, his helmet comes up and down, so, you'll see the original sort of old Anakin. I loved all that side of stuff. I got a large size action figure talking Obi-Wan. But these things aren't breaking the bank. But what was interesting, as I said, Power of the Force, I thought we were looking at stuff. You had the original line, which stopped, bit Bendham's, more on that later, I'm sure, David. But then I thought it was the Power of the Force 2. I thought that was the next sort of when it started again. But then only a few days ago, I discovered Star Wars Action Masters in 1994, which is the sort of all-metal die-cast. Yep, got one of those, just arrived today. £2.50. Stormtrooper, carded die-cast Stormtrooper. Boom, £2.50.
The Action Masters line is really nice as well. I mean, it's a shame they never went beyond, I think it's 7 figures. I think there's 2 Vaders, Han, Luke, Leia, Obi-Wan, R2 and 3PO. And then there was a mail-away 3PO. If you haven't picked up already, but they did Action Masters for like Batman and Terminator, and I think there's Predator as well. So you can, where they've got all those kind of like jigsaw puzzle bases, you can like piece together like all these other sort of like brands across those, not just with like the Star Wars ones. And you got like the Applause figures as well from back then, which were like sort of like 10-inch and Suncoast vinyl figures. They're pretty cool for what they were, and cheap. Nobody gives a hoot about them.
I have hoovered up so much But the most expensive thing was £18. And that was one of the vintage collection figures, right? So for me, £2.50, £3, £3.50, it's been really interesting. It's been good fun. And that's part of the collecting process, isn't it? I think sometimes we can get so serious about it and bogged down and really, really worried about it maybe. But from this side of it, I've loved it. And it's educated me. It's really heightened my awareness of stuff. I was watching Kenobi episode. I think it was the first one. I'm not going to give any spoilers or anything at all. Don't worry. But there's a particular figure on a particular planet which is visited. And I was like, okay, this is a completely new uniform in the Star Wars world. However, it's not new to me. I've seen this Star Wars 30th anniversary figures. So the 30th anniversary figures came out, there was a series of them, and it was the Macquarie concept art. So you had the sort of original Chewie, the original Luke, Han, Vader, but you also had this original trooper, rebel trooper. And that costume, up until this point, hasn't been in Star Wars. It was just concept. And I looked at this when I watched Kenobi, I'm like, that's the 30th anniversary trooper. So I quickly bought that.
Look at you. What you need to do, Dave, is next time you do a Father's From is get Jez really drunk on a Saturday night and then usher him into your shop at about 11:30.
It's going to happen.
So fire up the card machine, you'll be away.
Yeah, well, I've got to say, just as a cross-promotional opportunity, Stu did a review of the Attack of the Clones sticker album, right? Which is cool.
Yeah.
But like right at the end of that video, he said, this cost me 24 quid or something like that. And that's a really good night. Oh my god!
Oh, mate.
If a really good night is sat there with Attack of the Clones stickers, like put them in an album. It's like, oh,
that's what it's come to.
Yeah, like Stu. Oh, but it really did make me laugh because he was genuinely chuffed with it and buzzing. But like, it was just the way he was like, you know, if that had been said in any other context, everybody would like just like purely think that that's you know, someone taking the mick or whatever. But like, he was being serious. It was like, that's amazing. So I love it. But I mean, what about yourself, Dan?
Yeah. So I've been good lately. I've been good when it comes to modern. So I've got a little bit of a list. So I picked up. It was my birthday end of last month on the 25th of May, the unofficial Star Wars day.
Oh, happy
so I've got that to look forward to. So I got given. My boy got me the Emperor Palpatine tiki mug. So I've added that to I think that's 24 tiki mugs I've got now.
Nice.
And Craig has been out to the States for Celebration, obviously, and he's picked up some of the tiki sets from the Celebration store. So I'm not going to count those yet, though, because they're not in hand. I also got the Red 5 Lego helmet, and I got the Darth Vader meditation chamber, the Lego one of those as well. So
nice.
I had fun last weekend putting both of them together. I picked up the Retro Collection Wave 4. That's the second wave of Mando figures in the Retro Collection. So I've done an unboxing of those. So that's over on Generation Skywalker if anyone wants to go and take a look at that. So they're really good. Tell me about the card backs, but yeah, the figures themselves are lovely. And I got the Boba Fett Deluxe Hot Toy 2-pack. So that's the one that comes with Boba Fett after he's just got his armor back when he goes to rescue, what is it, the episode The Tragedy, when he rescues, tries to rescue Baby Yoda. And it's got him in his kind of, they call it the Nomad Fett, but it's more of the Tuscan Fett, isn't it, when he's got his robes on and his gaffy stick.
Right. Yeah.
It's really nice. We've been criticising the bases on those quite a bit lately, that they're pretty bog standard. These come with like the terrain of that planet. I don't know what it's called, but that planet in the Tragedy.
Tithion, that one.
We'll take that.
Or Typhon.
Typhon. And smashed Stormtrooper helmet that you can actually put onto the body of a normal Stormtrooper. So you could set him up to have
that's
whacked
neat.
a Stormtrooper
that's
around
a nice
the head.
little touch.
Yeah, it's a really nice figure. I pre-ordered it ages ago, and I was kind of like, the best part of 400 quid. I won't say that too loud because the wife's next door. It's come though, and it's fantastic. It's really, really good. I'm really pleased with that. And I think that's it. So that's for the last couple of months. So that's not bad for me. I have had confirmation though that my Luke Snowspeeder pilot hot toy is with customs at the minute. So I've just paid 50 quid in customs for that. But hopefully that will be it by Monday, and I can talk about that next month. So our lives are full of modern goodness. It's not all about the vintage.
Look at this, huh, guy?
Hey, Dad? Yeah? Why do you keep all your toys in boxes? How do you play with them?
I don't. I collect them.
Does Mom know you keep mac and cheese in here?
Okay, this isn't for eating. I collect these too.
So, toys you can't play with and mac and cheese you can't eat? This is a room of lies.
Star Wars Kraft Macaroni and Cheese. You know you love it.
new HasLab. So HasLab have, well, initially it was accidentally announced. I think it was posted on their website ahead of it being revealed and quickly taken down. But you know what, us eagle-eyed Star Wars fans are like, it was quickly picked up and reported online that the next HasLab is the Reva lightsaber. So this is a Black Series lightsaber. It's the one from the Kenobi series. So it's one of these, I suppose they call it, was it a helicopter lightsaber? Hopefully we won't see anybody flying around the screen like they did in Rebels of those. And yeah, it's a Black Series lightsaber for $459.99 if you want to head over to Hasbro Pulse and order that. We did quite a bit of talk about this, Dave. I don't know if you listened or not when the Rancor was available. And what was your view? We'll start with the Rancor and then we'll talk about this. It's good to hear your views on the Rancor.
I have my own personal feelings that HasLab is not necessarily a good thing for the collector. But if you were going to do a HasLab, I personally feel that if you don't go for this, you've got no hope of ever seeing it again. And you could argue that with like Unicron from like the Transformer line is a pretty signature thing. But it's a nice to have, but it's not necessarily integral to your collection. So the Rancor falls into that category, but nobody asked for a 6-inch, compatible scale compatible Rancor. And then the things that you have in there weren't really incentives, because really, if you look at what the Black Series is made up, it's not about play sets, it's not about like vehicles or accessories, it's just all about figures. So all of your stretch goals should have been figure related, and to manage that in the way that they did, it was like too little too late. And I do think that there was a little bit of backtracking going on, and it just, at a time when they were like really maxing out a lot of HasLabs at once, because there was Ghostbusters going on, I think there was Star Saber on the Transformers, there was the G.I. Joe Sky Striker as well. So they had all these things going on, and I think it wasn't necessarily doomed to fail, but like it failed. And I think it was, unfortunately, the design, a lot of commitment gone in there in design work, but I think it was more of a victim of its management rather than it being a product that sucked. Because I think, Star Wars collectors by usual standards will buy anything. And I think just the way that was handled, that could have made its goals and been funded. But because the way that it went about it failed, and then it didn't get back the support it had. Running at the same time, you had the Sky Striker from G.I. Joe. And that's a vehicle that any G.I. Joe collector has got in their collection. It was a new version of it, but like it wasn't like, oh wow, this is our version of like the sail barge. It was kind of like, well, everybody's got half a dozen Sky Strikers already, and most recent one had been done in the last sort of, I think for the 50th anniversary, so I think that was 2014 they did the Sky Striker last. So it was, it was relatively recent being on the shelves at say like $50, and now they were wanting $200. Do you see what I mean? So like people were like, well, hang on a second, but they still managed to fund it because they then again went in and started offering incentives like, additional figures, and they did like a Cobra version, so you could do like Cobra version of a Sky Striker and things like that. So that as a product, that was the first G.I. Joe HasLab as well, but they managed to get that, and that's the one I would have said would fail
because it's been released so many times before.
Because it's been released, because it's in everyone's collection. What's the incentive? And then they were then smart about it, that they then did a nice little display stand, so you could display it like in flight, the sort of thing that you see with people who do like acrylic stands. They then did like deck accessories like loading vehicles and bomb racks and stuff like that. They then did new character pilots, and then they did like Cobra versions as well. And that actually managed to do way more than I expected, not just like funded, it did do a few stretch goals beyond as well. And that's the one I would have said, if you just literally gave me a piece of paper with these are the ones we got coming up, that's the one I would have said that is going to struggle the most.
I think in hindsight with the Rancor, bearing in mind we've just had Book of Boba Fett, and I think that ended several weeks after that. You'd have thought someone from Lucasfilm would have tipped Hasbro the nod when they came, and I'm assuming they'd have to take it to Lucasfilm first and say, right, we want to make this. Someone would have said, do you know what, guys, hold off for a few weeks. We've got and
here's why.
Yeah, and then because it would have got funded, right? If there would have been a Boba Fett related Rancor, it would have got funded.
So if you ended up right with like your classic Rancor keeper, and then you had Machete, I've forgotten his name.
Yeah, I know you mean.
But like a figure of him, you would have been all over it. So you could like have like modern Rancor or vintage style Rancor. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be at all surprised if it does see the light of day in a different reworking to accommodate for that. And maybe that was already on the table, and this was like almost a bit like market testing to see just how far can you push these things. But you're running the risk of just doing too much of this stuff.
I suppose that brings us on to this lightsaber then. So, I mean, I don't know if you guys have read through the description of it, but it sounds pretty bog standard lightsaber fare, right? So it's the description on there is, you've seen how we've brought iconic Star Wars scenes to life with detailed LED force effects lightsabers, but this Hasbro project is bringing fans something entirely new, the Black Series' first integrated double-bladed Force FX Elite lightsaber. This role-play item comes with the features you love, including progressive ignition, blaster deflect, battle clash effect, and more. With coordinated attack technology in the hilt and both blades installed, LED animation and effect sequence play out across the entire 6.5 feet lightsaber. Battle the Jedi with both blades. You're in control.
No.
Okay, that's $459.99. I just don't see it, unfortunately.
So that is the product that you make to recruit kids into Star Wars. Yeah. So you make that as for argument's sake, a $40-50 product, not like an FX saber. And that's the thing that will sell like gangbusters, because there is a toy store Inquisitor lightsaber that every kid wants. They did it with the
I did it with Rebels. My boy had a few years. What's that? 2014. There was.
But they did it with the Darksaber, and that was brilliant. And then they did the Force FX Darksaber. Yeah. This may not so much. This is the sort of thing I'd expect to see at a Disney park for that kind of money, and you go, oh yeah, it's like a Galaxy's Edge exclusive, and then you could see that working out. But this, it'll fund, but like I think.
You reckon it'll fund?
You think?
Yeah, I do.
So it's at 1,031 backers.
And again, this is very controversial. They can't afford too many projects to not fund, right? So you had the Cookie Monster, which I think was a sacrificial one, and you've had just to say that this doesn't happen, guys. If you don't back it, it doesn't happen. So no one's going to miss the Cookie Monster. Do you see where I'm coming from? Whereas I don't think they expected the Rancor to do that, but they cannot be seen to lose it again. Now you did have on Unicron potentially some creative figures going on, because there was a huge surge, and that thing got funded at a point where it wasn't going to get funded, and it was like a national holiday. And I think once it then funds, the fear of missing out kicks in, and everybody then starts backing it. So overall, you still fund it, but were numbers manufactured to make it look like it's funding to then get everybody on board? So you've got your figures. I don't think that they would allow this to not happen, and even if it didn't get the minimum number, you don't know exactly the full picture as a consumer. They will tell you these things, but there will be points where they will say this cannot fail, so we just make it fund, and then people will go, oh, if I don't back it, I'm going to miss out, because I'm a completist. I've got every saber, so it will fund, but I'm not saying it will fund because it's super popular. It will fund because they won't let it fail. I don't think
460 quid. It's got 1,000 backers and 26 days to go. There's no incentives with this, so there are no tiers. It is straight up $459.99 for the saber. There's, it comes with a nice stand, and that's your lot. Just seems crazy expensive. What do you think of it, Jez? Are you going to be buying one of these?
I've got a controversial theory on the Rancor. I did mention this in the previous when we covered it that time. It's almost like they wanted it to fail because it was hundreds short. There was a big surge at the end. When they did their sort of online thing, trying to really promote it and say, yeah, we're going to give you this and we'll give you that, and now Silicious Crumb has got the initial B in the middle of it. Isn't that good? They lost backers. They lost about 500 backers. They lost about 10% of their backers. And then there was a big surge at the end because people had FOMO and they cut it short. I think they might have even been, quote me if I'm wrong on this, they might have been around about 500 backers short, or maybe about 1,000. I think they might have been up at around about 8,500 or so. But if they had kept it open for another 24 hours, 48 hours, they didn't need to cut it off just like that. And they have previous experience of extending something's deadline to get it over the line. So they could have extended it. They could have said, yeah, we can can see there's a big surge, that there is a lot of, love for this, because it had jumped from something like 4,500 up to about 8,500 just in the last week or so. The way in which it was selling in the last couple of days, all they needed was another 24 hours, if that. And I think they cut the nose off to spite their face. It does seem like they've got a big hill to go up, to climb with this 5,000 backers. Bearing in mind, they just hit 1,000 at 37. Doesn't float my boat. I mean, for £500.
So Dave thinks it's going to back. Do you think it will back?
No, I think for £500 I could buy 250 carded Saga figures.
And still have £500 to buy the Reaver lights.
Yeah.
Let's find out. Hopefully on the next show we'll know either way. See what drama unfolds over the next couple of weeks of it. They've been suspiciously quiet on it though. I think obviously the announcement was on, it wasn't even at Celebration, was it? I don't think. I think it was prior to that. Or maybe it was at Celebration. So it was announced on the 27th of May. Maybe it was a Celebration thing. So we'll find out in the next few weeks anyways.
When they start to add incentives, it's struggling.
It's struggling, yeah. But they've said no incentives on this one. I'm sure I've read that there are no tiers, so let's see if that changes. The next thing on there, and I know Stuart was a big fan of this. He was. I won't tell you which way he was going on it yet, Dave. But the selfie line on the Black Series. Have you had a chance to look at that at all?
Yes. So this is the exact details haven't been given out as to how this might work. But if you imagine you've always wanted to be your own Star Wars character or even a toy action figure, Hasbro will be able to, as an exclusive through their Pulse website, offer a service where you can have your visage printed onto a Black Series figure. How this is going to work is still yet to be kind of fleshed out, but you'll be able to choose your action figure buck. So you could be like an X-Wing pilot, or you could be a stormtrooper, and they will print out your likeness into a head, the form of a head, and it will be presented in the form of this action figure as part of the selfie series. Now, there's two big things to consider. Number one is there's no mention, I believe, of what this... price is $60. So this is going to be about 3 times the cost of Black Series figure. But also, everything that you're seeing is the marketing images. Now, marketing images are always going to be the best way to present your product. As to how this is going to look when it actually happens will be very much wait and see. But there was a product a few years ago, I think in the Disney parks, where they did like the carbonite. Did you guys ever see that?
Yeah, I think they did it at Celebrations as well. You could get yourself made in carbonite.
Yeah, so I would imagine it's a similar process to that. That was something that you went in and you got your head scanned and your face scanned. But this, I'm imagining it's going to have to be submitting more than one photograph. So for typically of an action figure sculpt, you would have front, sides and back for a sculptor to do. Now this is going to be working on some kind of algorithm, taking like your features from a photograph. So I don't think you'd be able to like submit your holiday snaps. I think you will be told you've got to stand against a white background and then have, take those 4 pictures or maybe like a 3/4 angle and then submit those upload those up. That will then probably give you a proof to, approve, a bit like when you do your passport photos, and then however long it takes for them to do, it will then be spat out the other end. Now, it's quite cool, and this is the sort of thing, particularly where you've got like Father's Day coming up. That's the sort of thing you can imagine would be popular for that sort of thing. But as to whether or not really how good it is, I don't know, because it might be one of those things you're just like, oh my God, do I really look like that?
It's going to be the problem, isn't it? Because if I think, UK consumer laws and stuff like that, if you buy something online, you're not happy with it, you can send it back. But I think the caveat is if it's been personalised in any way, you've got less rights. So if you do get it through and it's not great, you're stuck with it, I guess.
You can't exactly sell it on eBay, can you? Just imagine, I'm going to buy that random person. Yeah, it's a bit weird. I like the idea of it. I always thought, I'll get myself some sort of running Stormtrooper Funko Pop. And this is a way I could just say, I'm going to get a Stormtrooper, put my face on it. I'll be happy with that.
I think it remains to be seen with that. So I think we'll let a few people trial it out and post some photos online and see whether they're any good or not.
I think what they need to do is as to whether or not if they're brave enough to do it. But I think they kind of need to almost look at the parody market on this. So Jez could get his head on like a Slave Leia body, or you could be a Jawa or an Ewok Ewok or something like that. And that is the sort of thing that your mates would then do as like gifting as well. I think that would probably then possibly be more popular than putting yourself in as an X-Wing pilot or something like that. But
yeah. Put Stu's little face on Rhomba or something like that.
There you go.
That would work.
Exactly.
I'd quite like to get Stuart as an Ewok. That would be a nice little thing to have on my shelf.
Oh, yeah. But another important thing on this is a source of much speculation is shown within the marketing material for this is plastic-free packaging. So it is a box with an open window with the figure strapped to it through like rope cable ties, and then it has a sleeve that goes over the top. Now, I know this has been very much a hot topic with particular to Star Wars collectors, but all toy companies are under immense pressure to be seen to be doing more about the amount of their carbon footprint. Hasbro have been doing plastic-free packaging for quite some time on Transformers, and the reasons you can do that is because Transformer collectors are not mint-in-box collectors. They want to take this thing out. It's a puzzle. They want to change it from one state to the other. So they rarely aren't fussed about packaging. So they kind of almost been trialing with that for quite some time before they migrating it across to their other brands. I don't think you'll ever lose like the vintage collection bubble thing because they know that the sizzle is as much a thing about it as the sausage. Black Series, they probably will go down this route, but I don't think you'll see that on like vintage collection. But like a lot of people are looking at this product going, oh, is this the future of all Star Wars collecting? Like, this is an outrage, I'm out. Or the other way is the retail version will be the plastic free packaging, but the Hasbro Pulse exclusive, you'll be able to get your bubble attached to it through there. You know, and again, it's up for debate, but I don't, they know that classic look, that classic style, even though you had those little boxed packs with the Stormtrooper in E-Web and Ahsoka and Boba Fett, I don't really see that's what they're doing. I think that was kind of more or less like, we got like these things that we want to charge more for, but we don't want to charge them as like
a standard.
Yeah, make it a box rather than a thing we can put an extra $5 on there. It's not worth the extra $5, honestly, but it's then, you know, you're justifying it in one way.
Yeah, I think it was Jedi Temple Archives. We have seen a picture of a figure that has been mocked up to look like something that's been suggested by an insider at Hasbro, which does show a cardboard bubble with a picture of the figure on the front of the bubble. But how legit that is, I don't know. But I guess, yeah, time will tell with that, how far they're willing to go with this. So I'm with you, Dave. I think if they moved away from bubbles, it would upset a lot of people.
Yeah.
Jez especially, now he's collecting vintage collection.
I will kick off.
Hard.
No, it's my planet as well. So we've got to do our best efforts. But yeah, I don't throw away any of the packaging. For me, it's I just love it. I'm just in a happy mood. It's all good.
So Jez, we've got the new toy line, the Micro Galaxy Squadron. Can you fill us in on that and what that is?
Right. Okay, I hope I don't mispronounce this. Jazzwares. Right, that's the brand. Jazzwares behind the Micro Galaxy collection. Trying to do something for everyone here. So if you think about sort of the micro collection stuff, that, you know, ticks that box. I've also recently purchased the Star Wars Action Masters. I mean, these things are diddy. These are 2.5-inch figures, which you think that's pretty ridiculous. It doesn't get much smaller than that. But oh no, these things are even smaller, right? I don't know if you know from a size point of view what they're like, but the Razor Crest, which they're offering, with some figures which are in proportion to that from a scale point of view, the Razor Crest is just 7 inches. So they've got a Falcon, which is lovely. That's their sort of flagship ship. The Falcon's really great. Spinning cannons, radar dish. It's actually got movement activated sounds and lights, and comes with 4 figures. It's going to retail at about $45. Undercarriage goes up and down. As I said, the Razor Crest is 7 inches, and that comes with a carbon freezing area. It comes with, doesn't mention the figures, but it's pictured with Grief, Mando, and a little pint-sized Grogu. They call it pint-sized, but this is a 7-inch thing. It's not pint-sized at all. It's like shot-sized little Grogu. There's also going to be a second release of the Razor Crest come out, sort of, you know, modified version as the aircraft, as the ship had been sort of modified and repaired. There's going to be a second version of that. There's a couple of X-Wings, which come with Luke, and several different TIE fighters. So you've got a couple of manned ones, a couple of crewed TIE fighters to go with non-gendered language, a couple of crewed ones, and a couple of uncrewed TIE fighters. So they're pretty good. Something for each budget. We're talking around about $12.99, for the uncrewed ones up to $16.99. Troop Transport, Slave One, Fire Spray, call it what you want. They call it Boba Fett's ship. And Ventress's ship. I think that looks amazing. Comes with a nice little stand. To give you a size idea, speeder bike with a biker scout on that speeder bike 1 inch. So that's the sort of size which you're looking for. A couple of Scout Walkers. There's an AT-ST Raider as well as a regular AT-ST. The Raider made me think of C-3PO with his red arm because randomly they've given it like a red and an orange leg. Looks just really peculiar. But interesting line.
Did you not watch The Mandalorian Series 1? Episode 4. Yeah, that's what AT-ST's from.
Did it have a red and an orange leg?
Yeah.
It was in the dark, so...
It was in the dark. But... I was probably just looking at the ladies.
And then it fell in a bog, didn't it? So, like...
Yeah. I think
but that's what that is. That's like the Mad Maxed up version of an AT-ST that the Klatooinians were riding around in on an episode.
Right, yeah. But yeah, something for everyone from the OT and then more Disney Plus era. So prices from $5.99 to $45. So not exactly breaking the bank.
So I still follow a number of the Micro Machines pages on Facebook that I joined as part of the blog that I did on Micro Machines, and there's been a lot of activity on those pages recently about these. The Micro Machines collectors have seen this as kind of the second coming or the third coming, depends what you count as Micro Machines, but yeah, they're getting a bit hyped up for these
in a good way.
Yeah, because it's Action Fleet written all over it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I believe it comes in just under the scale of Action, but there's no denying that is what it invokes within anybody who was into Star Wars collectibles in the 90s. The fact that it comes with like a little crew figure and as a vehicle as well, and they're in different scales. I mean, I think brilliant. And then this is the silly sort of thing that I would just be like, I start off and I'll go for say like a Razor Crest or Slave One or something like that, and then before you know it, mistakes were made and
you got a shelf full.
Yeah, because I can see myself doing that, especially when you're seeing things that you've not had before, like the TIE fighter with the
folding wings.
Yeah, the folding wings. You think, you're like,
the Ventress ship looks good.
Yeah, you just like drop into it, and it's an X-wing with like Luke Jedi as well, where you don't normally always, it's always in his Red 5 outfit. I'll probably and the troop transport. I'm sold already. I'm an easy person to sell to at the best of times, but like, yeah, I think these are great.
Do you know what I think with these? The size and the scale. I'm just in my work office at the moment, and I can just imagine having like the little speeder bike on the stand just under one of my monitors at work. These are definite sort of desk ornaments for me just to publicly get me geek on.
Hold on to your seat. These Micro Machines are bigger. They're new Star Wars Action Fleet vehicles from Micro Machines, all action-sized.
Look out, Luke, or you've been lunch for the Rain Corps.
The all-new Star Wars Action Fleet vehicles are here, with new Rebel and Imperial forces just like in the movies.
Take this, Lord Vader.
New Star Wars Action Fleet vehicles with the all-new Virago from Shadows of the Empire. More action from the Action Fleet. New Micro Machines Star Wars Action Fleet vehicles and creatures come with 2 figures each sold separately. New from Galoo.
Okay, so we'll move on from the Micro Galaxy Squadron then, and Jez is going to take us through the vintage collection announcements over the last couple of months. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Yeah, 1 or 2. Let's go and have a cup of tea. So there's been quite a few. Dave, I'm going to be interested to see what you think about these as well. But yeah, beginning of April, you had the ARC Trooper Jesse come out. Death Watch Airborne Trooper, the Mandalorian Super Commando Captain. Really like this one. I like it because of the horns coming out the top, for want of a better expression. It just looks gnarly, and I think it just looks really, really cool. But it's a Shea Vizsla one, which I think the card art also looks really... I don't know, it's all great. I like this one. The Shea Vizsla excites me. I want to know more about that character. It comes with a blaster, comes with flame effects to come out of sort of each of the wrist bits and pieces. I want to know more about this badass girl, Shea Vizsla. You've got Lando Calrissian, which strangely comes on a Battlefront 2 release. And to me, I look at that and then I think, Solo. But Battlefront 2, strange. Imperial Death Trooper, the Builder set. So as we know, they're really getting into the whole Builder sets. And do we really have to talk about these Chewbacca Retro Collection prototypes? I don't know. At the moment,
how many of these have you sold, Dave? How many have you sold?
So, I hate these products. I cannot even literally put into words how awful I think these are. Hasbro do a lot of great products, but this is just absolute trash. And the fact that people fall for this and go completely bananas is just hilarious. I know you've covered it before, the fact that, this is not even how, the within the prototyping process, let alone the vintage prototypes, never even resembled anything like this. But your Vader was popular, it's the first one. Your Boba Fett was popular because it's Boba Fett. Your Stormtrooper was popular because, look, this one is the start of the slowing down. And it didn't. All the previous ones pretty much sold out within a few hours, and the Chewie didn't sell out. And you've got the Luke that's popped up, and even more so, people were kind of I think that bubble has burst on these.
How many variations? Because I think the Fett had 6 variations. I think there was a crazy number on the Vader in terms of color combinations. How many has the Chewbacca and the Luke X-Wing got?
So from the Fett onwards, they've standardized it to 6.
Right. Okay.
And because I think that they were then can of worms, and there is no. They come in boxes of 8, and there is no conspiracy that one is more short packed than any others. You get one of each, and then 2 extra, but of different colors.
Right.
Yeah. So when they come in, it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm really short on purple heads, because that is the most popular one. As a retailer, you get requested. I need a purple headed Stormtrooper. That is what everybody asks for. But you're not shortlisted on any of these things to go, oh no, it's that's the chase variant or whatever. So people literally manufacture all of this hype on the secondary market, and it's just utter hogwash, and people are idiots when it comes to this stuff. I cannot be apologetic on this front, because if people fall for this, and I'm seeing people spending 45, 50 quid on Boba Fett's, which were only out a year ago. It's why? You're idiots. Why would you do that? Now, the Luke X-Wing is possibly, out of all of the ones that they've done so far, makes the most sense, because it is a modern figure and it doesn't jeopardize anything. And you've only had that one figure appear on the retro carded collection with the board game, so why not make more of it? But when you're doing Chewbacca, no one gives a crap about Chewbacca within this, and then to follow it up with Luke and then not do Han Solo, it's just it's just such an ill-conceived, poor idea. They then use an Al Williamson style artwork on the cards. And they make them the foil carded things, and then still pack these in the same way, so there's no tissue paper, so everybody then gets bent out of shape. That
cards bent.
The cards look scrappy, and it's that's literally because that's how they've come from Vietnam to the States, then back to Europe to a distribution center, and then out to they're just literally facing one another, and they're just shimmering backwards and forwards continuously, because you have this wraparound on the card. It's not printed card, it's a laminate on top of card, so it is going to lift, it is going to look a bit scrappy, because that's literally the nature of that product. You're trying to shrink wrap
cardboard.
The cardboard, and then collectors all get bent out of shape, and it's there's still 15 quid, there's still 16 quid or whatever. Your level of expectation that you are placing on this value product far exceeds what it's actually physically worth, and sadly it just brings out the
worst.
The worst and the seedier side of Star Wars collecting, and you just oh my gosh. Sorry.
No.
I breathe.
It's really weird.
At least it's good to hear that it's not just us when Mark goes on about his rants about these things. It's good to know it's not just us in our little vintage.
But you get people saying, "Oh yeah, I've just placed an order. I need 6 purple ones." And it's no, you'll get what you're given. And if you've ordered 6, you get 1 of each, because that's the easiest way of doing it. People literally think that these things are in some way short packed or what have you. And if that was the case, the first people that would take advantage of that, truthfully, are the retailers, because they'd be well, there's a fast buck to be made here. because you see it all the time when it comes to things like trading cards and stuff like that. If there's a short packed one, they will limit how you can buy it. You can only get that short pack one if you buy the whole wave, not individually. So if everybody's just offering these up and they're not even listing them as individual colours or anything like that, that's the first giveaway that there is no kind of like secret agenda on this. It's the secondary market. It's the people that think that this is their retirement fund that enforce that kind of belief. But it's ridiculous. And Hasbro are not going to draw a line in the sand with this. They're going to flog this one to death.
I think it's getting near it's got to be near to death now, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, Luke X-Wing went up. Was it last week or the week before?
Yeah, something like that.
And yeah, they've not sold out yet, and that's the first time.
Jez is going to order 6.
Yeah, you see, the thing is, I was just pausing because whilst I am now trying to enhance my collection and get one from each little area and stuff like that, as I said, one from each release, I don't have a single retro one yet. All of mine are sort of regular vintage collection. I don't have a retro, so I will have to get a retro. I don't have any of these ridiculous prototype things. However, I feel like it's not a FOMO thing at all, but I do think I'll just get one. I'll just get one. So you never know, Dave. Hey, excuse the rather silly question, or what might seem like an obvious question. So this pre-order, the way it's done then. So I would go onto your website and say, right, want. There are some which say sold out. I've seen that. But if you then, as the retailer, if, for example, I don't know, let's just keep the numbers low and said, right, 15 people want one of these particular figures. So 15 people have pre-ordered it. Do you then, as the retailer, say, right, well, in that case, I'll order 30, so I've got some to sell in the shop? Or are they purely pre-order and you just have to round it up to the nearest 8, I think you said it was?
Right. So as a little insight as to how this works, or how it should work, not everybody does this. But you are given an allocation. You're told up front, this is what you're guaranteed to have. Now, the number's not uniform. It is very much dependent on your relative size and what you're turning over. So Forbidden Planet is a good example. Their quantities that they're allocated are far in excess of anything that I would see. But I always, and how it should work is, everyone should just put up the availability of what they've been allocated. And then once you're sold out, even if it's on pre-order, that's it, because that's all you're guaranteed to get. Some people won't do that. They'll just keep the order open. And in theory, once the stock is available, you can order more. But there's no guarantee of that, especially now. Again, this makes me sound like I'm banging on about this all the time, but especially now where Pulse is involved. Because if it is a hot figure, you can guarantee that allocation, all that spare stock is going to go to Pulse because they're making double the profit, rather than making that open to retailers. When those occasions happen, people get their orders refunded and they say, sorry, we've had to refund your order. And that, some retailers have a bad reputation of doing that, but it's only because they haven't sold them within their allocation, if that makes sense. Right. They've kept it open. Most of those retailers are big as well that do that, so they don't really care about people
upsetting a couple of
whereas any sort of your usual suspects do really care about their customer base, and they wouldn't even dare upset. They'll do everything they can. I would always sort of use those who have a reliable reputation of fulfilling orders, rather than, if you see something and it's too good to be true, like Zavi, they still got these things available. There is no guarantee you're going to get it, because there's so many examples of people having their orders refunded because it just never happened.
And I think people who are following some of these bigger Facebook pages devoted to these products and listen to this show.
Yes,
know that, right? So it's you learn though, don't you? That's the thing. So if you're coming new into it, like I mentioned, my friend at the beginning, Gavin, he's I'm going on this website, and I'm going, okay, no, you're doing it wrong. Go and buy it from here or from here or from here. Right then, Jez.
Do you want me to carry on with a little bit more vintage? So Pipeline reveals full Cantina band, but only figuring Dan will be a carded one. There were other little ones where we saw small little snippets of the Plutonian Raider, artillery stormtrooper and Luke Skywalker from The Mandalorian and a Dark Trooper. I'm sure that one will be popular. And a few weeks later, May the 4th stream, there was one which I thought, yeah, fair enough. That's going to be a popular one, I'm sure. Series, because of the last series of Clone Wars, is the 332nd Ahsoka Clone Trooper. So these are the clone troopers who've got the specific Ahsoka paint livery on their helmets, which I think, yeah, it looks all right, and it's a nice little homage to that. So they're there. Mandalorian Super Commando, indeed. Anakin Skywalker, so it's another Attack of the Clones release, but this is Anakin Skywalker Padawan. And then you go into the sort of gaming greats. So you've got the Stormtrooper Commander, the Force Unleashed, which I really like the graphic for that. I really like the titling on that. I thought that was great. Jedi Fallen Order, you've got the Heavy Assault Stormtrooper, which has got a rather sort of natty weapon and a sort of shield system that from the games. Phase 1 Clone Trooper, that's the 4 sets. So you get a regular Clone Trooper and 3 white ones. And then the Retro Collection Star Wars box set with 6. I believe they're all carded, but 6 figures inside that from the Retro line. So yeah, not bad. We then go into more Third Sister. Again, Reva, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Wandering Jedi, and the Dark Times, which I think, whilst they say it's the Dark Times, I think it's going to be the Kenobi era Vader, which is going to be very similar to the Revenge of the Sith Vader as well. And then moving on, got the Ayla Secura, and then we went on to the Celebration reveals. So a few more. Really don't get this whole Anton Merrick's thing. Seems like really massively popular because of Rogue One with him, the X-Wing. You've got on about this fella, Dan. I'm like, yeah.
Well, I collect the vintage collection Rogue One stuff, so this droid's a big deal. So I've pre-ordered that.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a big deal. He's got a lot of leather-bound books and smells of rich mahogany. He's the dude, is he? Right, okay. Dark Trooper, Troop Builder packs, 4 Hoth Rebel Troopers. Quite like that. I thought that looked all right. Another Vizsla. So you got Paz Vizsla, Starkiller, Hunter. Yeah, that's a bit of a... so you got Starkiller from the games and Hunter from Bad Batch. And there was the Riot Scout Trooper. All sorts of stuff. Magna Guard looks pretty cool. Yeah, lots and lots of things going on. And then, yeah, we've already mentioned the Luke Skywalker Pilot Prototype Edition. So I'm not sure if that's an X-Wing or a Snowspeeder. I think that's the Snowspeeder, isn't it?
Yeah, so it was the one that came with the board game they re-released.
Yeah.
So they've taken that sculpt and made him.
Yeah, one of the links had said X-Wing, but I was like, nah, I'm sure that's the Snowspeeder. So a whole load of stuff has been dropped, but essentially from across the board, from the games to the Disney Plus stuff. Yeah, it's something for everyone.
I think the bit that's omitted there is, so last week they announced the Retro Collection Kenobi wave. So what's that, wave 5, the Retro Collection. So I have pre-ordered that from Dave.
Woohoo, thank you.
Forward to receiving it. Yeah, I think the bits that stand out, the Shea Vizsla, that was one that carried a premium, like the Ahsoka that was going for $400 or $500. I think it even got as high as $600. That's had a re-release, and they've gone back and re-released the Shea Vizsla now. So what's the view on that, Dave, with some of these ones that are high on the secondary market getting re-released? What are your thoughts on that?
Personally, I think it's a good thing because they're not straight reissues. The card back will tell you what generation it is because they will have the figure assortment that's relevant to the point in time that it's like brought out. And as a retailer, I try with 99% of everything that I sell, it's the retail price. When we do like Farthest From, that's a little bit different because it's subjective to like the older something is. But there's nothing more painful when you see people pay the money for some of these things when you know that they were freely available at a lower price point. And the Ahsoka is a really good one because that one was relatively short packed. Not short packed, but I think that was only in one wave thinking back around sort of like 2013, 2014, and was very popular because it was like an adult. I think it was the first time they'd done Ahsoka that wasn't a Clone Wars figure, if that makes sense, from like the Clone Wars cartoon.
Yeah.
So that was like popular because it was the first kind of like real world version of Ahsoka. The Shea Vizsla actually was in several waves on the vintage collection way back when, and it was all to do with, was it Knights of the Old Republic or something like that?
Yeah.
The sort of like online version of the game, not like the original Xbox version. And that one was really popular. And I think only not necessarily because sometimes when you have these things, it's popular because of the gamers are jumping in on it as well as like the collectors. But I honestly think that was just popular because it was a girl, and that sounds very sexist. But you do see it all the time as a retailer that certain figures will all of a sudden spike because it's like, ooh, like it's a lady compared to like other products that are available at the same time. Now that is a very controversial thing to say in 2022, but like 10 years ago when that was out, you'd be seeing those figures like going crazy just as you would see with like the slave layers and what have you. And I think that's partly why Shea Vizsla was reaching those kind of premiums in the secondary market value, because it's not necessarily a key character. It wasn't necessarily actually difficult to get hold of, but it was like hyped up to those kind of levels in the same way that Ahsoka was. And if you do look at the highest value figures before they've had reissues, you will see a disproportionate number of them are female characters in terms of what's available overall. But yeah, I think it's good that they reissue them. I think that they could do. I think it's cheeky that like they put Shea down at more of a price point than the regular figures. I think that's a bit cheeky, but I think they should be doing this as a release similar to like what you have like Black Series Archive figures. So it is a specific wave of just all these release figures, and you know that they are reissue figures, and you know everybody's then getting them that way, rather than the odd one like here and there.
Yeah, because there's quite a few out there, isn't there? As you know, we've talked about it a bit, that hitting £100 or more, and there's people out there who come to the party late, haven't they? So they've missed, they've continued the number run 001, I think, with Dengar back in 2010, and they want to fill in all the gaps, and this is a way to do that without spending a fortune.
Yeah, no, completely, and it's great as well, because also at the same time, they're great figures. It's actually in many respects crackers that Hasbro haven't been doing this anyway. When you think back to the vintage figures, that Darth Vader was sold from all the way from sort of like 77, 78, all the way up through to 85.
Yeah.
And it was like, never updated. They just kept reissuing it and putting it on the packaging and stuff like that. Now, there are certain characters that they should just be doing this indefinitely, with all the main hero characters, all the main villain characters. You should always have like Jabba the Hutt reissued every couple of years, because you can. I don't think they're necessarily going to sit on a shelf and not sell, and then do like these fringe ones as well when you've got the opportunities. So much investment has been put into these products in the first instance that they should be just getting more out of it. And it's a cheap way of putting up your item count in an assortment range, because you've already done the investment, and then that will like free up the money to then do some of the cooler stuff like a Reva lightsaber.
Well, talking of Black Series, Dave, you're up now with the Black Series. So do you want to give us a quick rundown of those?
Just like Jez, this is a mammoth list to go through, all relating to Black Series. A lot of these are up for pre-order already, and in some cases, some of them are like starting to come through. But at the start of April, we had going up for pre-order Saw Gerrera from like Rogue One. I'm amazed they've not done this figure yet. It's taking forever. You got RC-1207, which is from Republic Commando. And then relating to comics, you've got the Darth Vader, which was from the Infinities comic. They did a comic pack with Leia way back when. And that was him redeeming himself, because I think in the Infinities comic, it was kind of like the Star Wars What If. And so Luke becomes the Emperor's apprentice, and Vader then is redeemed in Empire Strikes Back and then goes to save him, which is why he's in white. You got Leia from the comic collection and Sergeant Creel as well. I'll be honest, I used to be really into the comics, but I can't remember any of these guys, so this is a bit beyond any of the ones that I was interested in. But they look all right. Sergeant Creel is a stormtrooper with a lightsaber. Don't know what that is. You've also got a hint of a few that are coming down the line with Grogu and Mix Mayfeld from The Mandalorian. You've also had Paz, this is about the fourth or fifth time Paz Vizsla is being redone, but now he has the face of Jon Favreau in the same way that you had
Dave Filoni
with, what was his Hunter? Was it?
Trapper
Wolf. Yeah, Trapper Wolf. So, I mean, that's a blatant cash in, but some people were loving that sort of thing.
But that was a Celebration exclusive, but you couldn't actually pick it up at the show. You had to pre-order it at Celebration.
Again, all of this is, I mean, it's shocking, really. Some of this stuff, I mean, you're now at a point with Celebration, the thing that you know is in the calendar, the thing that you know you've got to have the stuff ready for, and you couldn't even have it there and then. But like,
nope. Fast.
Less said, the better. You've also got Robo-Legs Darth Maul and the Grand Inquisitor from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Maul looks really cool, and as you would expect, I'll be honest, the Grand Inquisitor, not so much, if I'm honest. I don't know. It's just sort of too much black. And that's not a fault of like the action figure. It's more like of the design of the outfit and stuff like that. It's a bit like Darth Nihilus in Black Series. You think it's going to be amazing, and then it's
too much black.
Yeah, it's just all absorbing in that. But also at Celebration, you had quite a lot of new reveals there. You had the Macquarie concepts, where Jez was talking earlier, like rediscovering Macquarie concept figures. They're now bringing those across to Black Series, and so you can probably expect to see this being done ad infinitum. But the first lot is Obi-Wan and Vader as a 2-pack. From the Obi-Wan series, you've got Wandering Jedi, Obi-Wan, Aayla Secura from Attack of the Clones, where it's like the 20th anniversary, Grief Karga in his Season 2 outfit of Mandalorian, which that's a tough sell, if I'm honest, because Grief Karga, even though it's an amazing figure, likeness, hasn't been that stronger seller. Both he and Quill in the Black series have really been the peg warmers of like the Mandalorian series when it comes to like not every single one like flying off the shelves. Those two have been tepid responses, so I'm surprised to see another version of Grief coming into this. Fourth Sister, and also from the gaming greats, the Riot Scout Trooper, which is from the Fallen Order, and then pipeline reveals of Darth Malak and Bastila Shan, which are both from the Knights of the Old Republic, where you've got Darth Revan. Malak was like his apprentice, and Bastila was the light side Jedi that in the game you would play, and depending on which route you take, she'd either be the one to like guide you, or she'd become like a dark side acolyte as well. You've also had other reveals of Fifth Brother, and from the Kenobi series, another Darth Vader. Nothing really stunning that's going to like shine and stand out for you there, particularly with that Darth Vader, but you're going to need to have him involved with any kind of appearance, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be anything that you haven't seen or got like half a dozen times over already. What would have been really cool is if you actually had like the Anakin in his back to tank, and you could then like plug in all the extra bits, like the arm, and we saw that in sorry, spoiler. But like the arm, the bits of him as you see him in Rogue One.
There was a 3 3/4 inch like that, wasn't there, a few years back? I think for Revenge of the Sith with the surgical table, and you could take him apart and put his helmet on, and
you could do that with the crispy one as well, the crispy Anakin, which was,
I think that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, that was amazing as well. But so again, a lot of great stuff teased, but not necessarily available for quite some time yet. I mean, looking at the Vader, they're saying January of 2023. So as we are talking, another 6 months for just the Darth Vader that you've already that you've got available, easy to do. That one, that defies any explanation.
Yeah, when you got Kathleen Kennedy, when was it? Is it 2 years ago they announced Kenobi and said, we're going to see, Obi-Wan Vader round 2. It doesn't take much to work out. There's going to be Vader in that series. Let's make a figure of it and tie it into the release. It's just crazy. Well, there's 3 more. Go ahead. Sorry, Dave.
I was going to say there's nothing unique in there that would make you say, "Oh yeah, that's a newly minted or sculpted piece," or relating to that show. So there's no reason why you can't have a Vader ready to go, hot off the press, just to have something available for Kenobi right now. But hey ho.
Hey ho! So there's been 3 more really announced just this evening, actually. So we've got the Black Series Tala, the Imperial officer figure. So the Imperial officer that helps out Obi-Wan escape from the Empire. There is what everyone thought was Forlom, but it's actually One Jack. So it's like a repaint of Forlom into this new figure. And also we've got the Purge Trooper that we've seen a few times in the background in some of the battles. So this is the Black Trooper with the skirt and the pauldron. Looks very much like a Dark Trooper. Okay then. So next up then we've got Hot Toys. We've had a flurry of Hot Toys in the last few weeks. First up was the KX Enforcer droid, which is the K2SO model droid as seen in Rogue One, and also in The Mandalorian. In one of the episodes, actually, wasn't The Mandalorian, was it? It was in Book of Boba Fett. I'm getting the two confused because of the crossover. But in the scene with the Night of the Thousand Tears, Jez, where they were showing the destruction of Mandalore,
and we can see style.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's the KX Enforcer droid made to look like the Terminator. They're re-releasing that droid with a new paint job, and that's quite I wouldn't say it's a rare Hot Toy, but it's a harder one to get. It's certainly shot up in price, so this is going to hopefully be music to a few people's ears if they've been out on the lookout for one of those. And I know you're going to like this one next, Jez. They've re-releasing the Luke Skywalker Bespin. So Luke, I don't know if you caught on my interview with Lee Ward a few months back, the Luke Skywalker was the first ever Hot Toy. Luke Skywalker Bespin, to be more specific, was the first ever Hot Toy back in, I think it was 2009. Came with two bodies, so you had the beat up looking Luke after he's had his fight with his Vader, and then a cleaner version with his fatigues all in one piece. And it came with the aerial that he hangs off of from the outside of Cloud City. So that was the original release. And now we're getting this newer upgraded version. Doesn't come with the aerial or anything like that, but it does look very smart indeed. And if you get the deluxe version, it also comes with a Dagobah style base. So what do you reckon to that one then, Jez? Have you pre-ordered? Did you pull the trigger?
Yeah, I've done it. This was the one I was waiting for, because they've been hinting at this for a while, haven't they, on the website?
Yeah.
They've been sort of hinting that Luke Bespin was coming back, and I've looked at so many different ones. Even, the Luke X-Wing, there's Luke Snowspeeder, Stormtrooper. This is it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, right, I'm not hanging around any longer. Just look at the detail and look at the sculpt, the eyes, the face, the skin, and the skin tone, everything about it. They're knocking it out of the park. I love it. So I've ordered it through The Good, the Bad, and the Robots. I got so carried away. I can't remember if I've ordered the deluxe one or not. I think I've just ordered the regular one, but it's just.
I did too. I think it's like works out like 60 or 70 quid more to get that base, and it also comes with a blown out Vader helmet so you can see Luke's face. And I just didn't think 70 quid warranted it. For the way I'm going to display it, I was quite happy with the standard on this one.
I love this though. It's really weird, the detailing of the outfit itself. The outfit looks quite nice and looks quite new, but it's a very weathered belt buckle. Just the accessories that this one comes with. Mate, could talk about this one for ages. I'm really, really excited about this. And yeah, this was my first Hot Toys purchase. It's such a great one.
I'm surprised that you didn't go for that Luke Snowspeeder. What was the reasoning for that being your?
I was just being so picky about it because I just thought it's a lot of money to drop on a figure. He says after having dropped a lot more on carded vintage stuff in the past. But for me, it's just, I know it's going to be the start of a slippery slope, but I looked at it and I don't know, there was something not quite right for me with regards to the Luke Snowspeeder, but I'm sure when I actually see it, it'll be like, oh no, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know, but this, love it.
It's good times. Looking forward to it. I've ordered it too off of Lee. So yeah, you've got the wait now. Let's see how long it takes.
I'm looking at all these images now. It's got me excited all over again. I'm really looking forward to getting it. Oh,
yeah, it's going to be good with all the other Empire figures they've released in the last few years. All we need now is that hand Bespin. That's the one. Yeah. That's the one. But hey ho. So there's more here. You might like a few more of these. So on our toy show we did for Attack of the Clones, we already mentioned a couple of these because they got announced around the same time. So there was an R2D2 and a C3PO from Attack of the Clones. And also have been announced in the weeks leading to that. We've had a battle droid, Geonosis, announced, a clone pilot announced, and a clone trooper. So yeah, we've got 5 new Attack of the Clones Hot Toys on the way. How fortuitous is that?
The R2 looks amazing. You can keep hold of the battle droid, the Geonosis one, just because it comes with a 3PO head, and they've dared put that on the website. But to be fair to them, $190, That's pretty good, isn't it? But the R2 itself, that's outstanding.
Yeah. And then there was a couple more announced at, or at least previewed at Celebration. So we've got a heavy weapons Clone War Trooper and Bark Speeder with sidecar, and Commander Appo with Bark Speeder. And we also got a Chrome Death Trooper for some reason. Black Chrome Death Trooper. But more recently, so I think that's the day of the recording, also it was teased last week but announced today, Cad Bane is getting his figure released as per his Book of Boba Fett appearance. Have you had a chance to look at any of the photos of this today, Jez?
Mate, I think I was the one who, as soon as I saw it, I was like, right, I'm going to get that, I'm going to send that to the lads, and you'd beat me to it. And really excited about that. Love the character. Such a brilliant design. Really is. I think of the sort of latest generation of characters, I think it's my favourite, along with sort of Babu Frick. But I love Cad Bane.
I can't with these new Disney Plus series. They're obviously coming thick and fast, and you can't buy everything. I kind of think, well, I'm going to kind of have one from each series or from each movie. I'll try and like you do with your carded figures, try and represent that way. And that came out, because I've got the Boba Fett from Book of Boba Fett. Well, he's from Mandalorian technically, but I've kind of got that character covered. So I might have to break my rule for this because it does look pretty cool. Have you seen it's got different face plates, so you can have different expressions on his face. You've obviously got the wired trench coat, so you can obviously mimic that being flapping in the breeze if you want. Yeah. So like the Lando cape, it's got this really thin wire that runs through the kind of the bottom of the cape, so you can really get some good like posing with it. And this is going to be similar. And if you get the deluxe version, you get his from Clone Wars, you get his thrusters that clip onto his ankles, and also comes with his little, is it Todo, his little droid?
Todo, I think it's Todo something else, isn't it? It's Todo. I think there might be a number after it, possibly. I don't know, or it might just be Todo, but because that flies as well. So very much like with the Mandalorian, where you've got the sort of translucent little pole with all that put together. The fact that you can change his face, it's got the snarling look and everything. What I thought looked weird is when he takes his hat off. One of the photographers has got him about his hat, and you're like, he just looked weird. The hat
didn't he get when he got impaled by Boba Fett at the end? Didn't his hat come off then? So you could, I'm sure he laid there with his hat off, and he looked a bit odd. Yeah,
it's almost like the Samson's strength being in his hair. Maybe maybe the strength was in his hat.
Well, we can't pull the trigger on it yet because it's not up for pre-order of it. It will be in the next few days. But I'm going to see if we get any more Obi-Wan Kenobi ones being announced in the next few days and then make that call. But I imagine Stuart's pre-ordered all of that. Okay, so on to Lego. We've got a number of sets that have been announced in the last few weeks. First up, we've got BD1, which is available now for pre-order on lego.com. It's got a release date of the 1st of August, and that one is $89.99. So that's a full-size version of the character. It's got 1,062 pieces, and it's the character from, well, he was in Jedi Fallen Order. He was the guy paired up with the main character there, and also he appeared, or a version of him, it's not sure, been verified whether it's the same droid or not, I think, in The Mandalorian with...
That's right.
What was her name? Who's it?
It was in Docking Bay 94. It was in...
That's it, Pele, yeah. So it looks a fun build, quite a bit different, that one, isn't it? And then next up so we've got another UCS Ultimate Collector Series entry, and this time it is the Luke Skywalker Land Speeder. So I think this is a really nice set. Obviously recently we've had a few of those come up. I think the ATAT they did around Christmas time. So this is another addition to that. Less intensive on your wallet, this one, Jez, is $175.99 and comes with 1,890 pieces and is available now. You can order a maximum of 5 of those, Jez. If you fancy 5 live speeders.
I'm on it.
And then we've got the Inquisitor's Transport Sith. So this is from or Scythe even. So the Inquisitor Transport Scythe. Try saying that when you've had a few. So that is the ship the Inquisitors fly around in the new Obi-Wan Kenobi series. And that is also for a release, or it's up for pre-order now and due for release on the 1st of August. So a lot of these sets are coming out around that time. So this one is $89.99. And it comes with 924 pieces. So yeah, they've got quite a few of these are lined up for the 1st of August. Next up, there's a few of these sets. They're dioramas. I think they're really cool. So there's several of these. So we've got the Death Star Trash Compactor diorama. We've got the Jedi Training diorama, and we've got the Death Star Trench Run diorama. And they are, I don't know the best way to describe these, Jez, you might have to help me out, but they're kind of like almost like
they're scenes, aren't they?
They're scenes.
A snapshot of a movie.
Yeah, on a little, like almost like, it's almost like looking into a screen, isn't it? So they're rectangular in nature, almost like a box without a front. And yeah, you've got the environments all around them. So the Death Star one, you've obviously got the walls of the trash compactor, and inside of that, obviously mimicking all the trash in there, pieces of Lego, and the characters all standing around and fighting off dioramas. Similar one with the Dagobah playset. You've got the crashed X-wing in the swamp, and then up on the land piece, you've got Yoda's hut, and then obviously you can position the characters around that environment to make up the scene. Yeah, they are cool. They are good.
The Dagobah one, it's just something about it. I really, really love it. 1,000 pieces. So when you actually compare this to the trash compactor, it's got more pieces, but it's £10 less.
Right.
Really, really weird. It's to me, it's more aesthetically pleasing. It's a nice round number of 1,000 pieces. They've nailed it with this one. Dagobah Jedi Training diorama. It's it's really, really sweet.
I do like that Death Star Trench Run though. That's pretty cool. So
that's glorious.
You've got the cutaway of the trench with the and you can set up the X-wing to have it being pursued by Darth Vader and a couple of TIE fighters.
Yeah, that's dynamic. It's heroic. It looks really good. It's great Star Wars. Whereas for some reason that, to me, the trash compactor scene, the trash compactor diorama, just looks a bit messy. I mean, because literally that's what it is. It's a junk. It's a messy arena. But it's kind of almost looks like something which I could have cobbled together. Whereas when you look at the Dagobah thing and the trench run, they're really classic, polished, clean scenes. So it doesn't look as quite sort of homemade Heath Robinson.
So if you want these, they are on back order on Lego.com. So they're looking to, and they are taking back orders, and they're looking to start them being shipped by the 29th of June. So it sounds like they've sold out their initial stock, and you've got to get in a bit of a queue for these. But these are more of the kind of the adult sets they've been producing, so much like the Darth Vader meditation chamber that was released last August. So it's one of these kind of adult sets where they've got 18 on the box, and it's a bit more meant to be a little bit more sophisticated and less action orientated. I suppose less childlike is the. I feel like
there's not swear words in the instructions or anything. It's just a bit more challenging.
Says 18 on the box. So they're looking to ship some of the back orders by the 29th of June. So they must have some stock coming in fairly soon. So we've got a small set. This one looks relatively small, though, saying that it is £70. Ambush on Ferrix. So this one is 679 pieces in total, and it's from Andor. So Star Wars Andor fans can play out their action-packed ambush on Ferric with this LEGO Star Wars playset. It features a mobile tac pod with opening top and side for easy access to the detailed interior, adjustable wings for flight and landing modes, and rotating double-stud shooter, plus a speeder bike for Cassian and Luthien rail to ride on. There's a new character there. It looks like we've got a bit of a sneak peek there at an Andor set. So that's up for pre-order now and ships on the 1st of August.
I'm quite surprised with that. The fact that they brought this out in advance, and it's not spoilers or anything. It's great.
The last one. So going back to our Attack of the Clones month. Got an Attack of the Clones Lego set, so it's Obi-Wan Kenobi's Jedi Starfighter. So this looks like a set that's had an upgrade. So this one was one that was released back in the day. I think we spoke about it on the toy show. This is one of the sets when Stu was covering off the Lego from back in the day. It's getting a re-release. So this looks like a relatively cheap set. It's $29.99, available for pre-order now, also for the 1st of August. And 282 pieces. So a nice little Jedi Starfighter there for you there to put together. Comes with a Ton Wii, Obi-Wan, and the Astromech.
So moving away then from the vintage collection, from Black Series, from Hot Toys, from Lego, We'll just go into our little miscellaneous section. I'm going to start off first of all with a 6-scale figure by Sideshow. It's a Yoda, but it's the sort of animated series Yoda. Yeah, I'm sure for some people they're going to absolutely love this, but it's $165 on Sideshow. Animated Yoda, which is about 14 centimetres, so about 5.5 inches high. It's just a different take on Yoda. It's not something which I'd be purchasing, but yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, it's for the Clone Wars, isn't it? It's the Clone Wars generation coming up now. A lot of these young kids that used to watch it now have got a few quid, and I can imagine that looks quite nice on your shelf if that fits the aesthetic of your collection. But yeah, it's not for me.
Well, let's see if this next one is. So this is a Gentle Giant Attack of the Clones Mace Windu Premier Collection statue. So yeah, you've seen the busts, you've seen various different things. I'm still waiting for my Luke X-Wing to arrive, which isn't going to put me off giving a review of this particular one. Limited to 2 per account, but it's $175. Mace Windu standing really sort of tall and proud, but looking up as if to look up in shame, or to look up for a young Boba Fett, because just on the ground on the plinth you see Jango Fett's fallen helmet just after Mace has decapitated him. So a real clear scene from Geonosis there. Yeah, nice little sculpt, very, very detailed. And pretty cool. Does that one float your boat?
More so than the Yoda. I suppose the thing that concerns me about these statues, I think, is this another polystone one? It's just getting them over here. When we spoke to Lee Ward, or when I spoke to Lee a few months ago, and he was talking, I think that's what he started out in, Gentle Giant busts and statues, and I think that the damage has got too much on those. So I'd always be nervous about ordering something like that and sending it across the sea. But it's very nice.
So next up, right, available from Smith's Toys. Now, when I first saw this, I was just like, I am not going to like this. I'm not going to like this. This is naff. But the more I look at it, the more I think, do you know what? That's quite cool. So it's an arcade one-up Star Wars pinball machine with 10 games. Now, this isn't cheap. This is £700 for home delivery, and pre-order now, expected in stock in September. It's a great little pinball machine. When I say little, it's not full size. In fact, it's 3/4 scale. When you actually look at the fact that this is now 60 inches tall, 36 inches long, and 20 inches wide. So, it's large enough. When you look at the original picture of this, you're like, no, that's all right. You click a few others, and when they've actually got them with people next to it, so you can see it from a sort of size point of view, it's not something which you can just put in the corner. It's a reasonably large pinball machine, but with clear Star Wars, OT, and Disney livery all over it. So a digital game with all sorts of different games. So the games, it includes Boba Fett, A New Hope, Act 2 Island, Battle of Mimban, Darth Vader game, Masters of the Force, Star Wars Rebels, Han Solo, Force Awakens, The Empire Strikes Back. So lots of different games within this Star Wars pinball machine, which has got 24-inch LCD screen, another little score screen, haptic touch flippers. It's a nice little thing. It's £700. You can get a lot of other Star Wars products for £700. You can definitely get the Luke Bespin hot toy and the Luke X-Wing hot toy and the Cad Bane hot toy for that. But it's a cool little thing, nevertheless. As I said, I wanted to hate it. I ended up liking it a little bit more than I thought I would do. There's a real working plunger and haptic touch flippers with real feel flipper feedback. But then moving on, again, another one which I thought, I'm really going to hate this because I've got the original, is another Gentle Giant Luke Skywalker Red 5 jumbo figure. And I'm like, hang on a second, they've re-released this. But they've re-released it with a slight difference, because this is the first one where you can actually take his helmet off. And by doing so, it almost looks like a custom, doesn't it? You see a lot of these Luke X-Wing sort of custom figures out there where you've got the Luke with blonde hair in his grow bag, in his flying suit. And even when the helmet's on here, you can see a little wisp of blonde hair, which kind of goes back to that whole thing where people thought that the visor, back in the 3 3/4 inch original line, when it was released as part of the first 20 on the Kenner line, people thought the black visor was his hair. But this is quite clear. No, it's not the hair. Here's the hair. But also, this one comes with, I think from memory, this one came with a blue lightsaber, a yellow lightsaber, and a blaster. So they've really taken the old one, and they've not just done a couple of subtle things. They've changed it quite a bit. So that's that's all right. $80, it's not bad. I wonder what it'll do to the value of my original one, which I've got. Yeah, for it to come with the lightsabers, I think it's pretty cool.
You going to get one?
No. I'm very selective. I mean, you know, as I said, I've got a bit hell for leather with regards to my recent modern purchases, but I have to budget. You know, family man, got priorities, live in Oxford, cost of living, etc. But yeah, I like this. I respect it.
I mean, they obviously did the Tarkin last year. I think that was in our list of worst toys released. And yeah, I don't get the point of this, to be honest with you. I don't get it. I really don't get it. You know, there's so many of these that people are crying out for, and you know, from the original line that still haven't been released, and they go back and do that. It's just and I get they've already probably got the the body of the Luke X-wing, and it's a way of reusing the sculpt and putting a different head on it. But yeah, it just seems a bit of a wasted opportunity. But there you go. That's just me.
Focus.
You think a Luke X-wing focus collector would buy it, but
he obviously needs to love Star Wars more. But I tell you what I do love, and is the also Gentle Giant. So it's Star Wars Return of the Jedi Princess Leia Endor mini bust. So this one is $120. It's gorgeous. It's 1/6 scale, really, really lovely. But when you actually click on it, the detailing, absolutely looks gorgeous. From the sort of every follicle on an arm, on a face, just the clothing, the detailing on these and the weathered weapon and the weathered helmet. This is an outstanding. It really, really is a good mini bust. You can ask me if I'm going to buy it. I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
But it's they've done a good job with this. I really, really like it. You got to love that one.
I do. I think that's fantastic. Again, I won't buy it, but I think it looks brilliant. It's such a great likeness of Carrie Fisher. It's amazing.
It's the
really
people
good
behind this, which is the reason why I ordered the Gentle Giant Luke X-Wing bust, which I'm still waiting for. It's been delayed, unfortunately. I think it was initially meant to ship in January, then February. Now apparently it's going to be shipping next month, by all accounts. So
fingers crossed.
It's just frustrating, isn't it? We see it all the time. You saw it with the Razor Crest. The delays and these things. It just happens. We have to roll with it. We're getting some great Star Wars stuff coming out. But, oh my goodness, just even zooming in, just seeing, the sort of, just the detailing of the makeup and the face, everything. It's just, that, I think of all the miscellaneous ones so far, that's my favourite for sure.
Oh yeah, really nice.
So now what I want to move on to is, this was part of I think it was the Star Wars Celebration line. You've got the Remnant Stormtrooper, which is a 1/6 scale mini bust, $120. This one looks alright. It looks severely beaten up. This looks really, really bad shape. Remnant Stormtrooper, it looks alright. But then the Imperial Commander 12-inch jumbo figure, $120. I don't get this. I don't get this at all. We've just seen the Luke X-Wing, which has got the removable helmet, the blue lightsaber, yellow lightsaber, blaster. We think from a mass market point of view, people will want that. So then at the same size, you bring out an Imperial Commander jumbo figure, which no one asked for, and it looks awful. When I'm looking at the picture, I'm thinking, I'm just looking at a 3 3/4 inch Imperial Commander with a strange face. Any ideas? Why on earth have they produced this?
None at all. None at all. I don't know what to say.
You sound so fatigued just even looking at it.
Well, it just doesn't look like the character. Look at them. If they're meant to be, replicating what was done on the Kenner line, that I know it's scaled up, but it doesn't look right at all to me.
When you think about the cost of a hyperreal and all that sort of technology now, which they've got.
Yeah.
Crumbs. When you look at 3 3/4 inch line, the vintage collection, look at the Reaver. That face sculpt on a 3 3/4 inch figure is absolutely outstanding, on point. I'm just confused. I'm really, really confused. So we're going to move on, and we're going to go to something which is confusing me even more. Right? This is the porcelain statue by Ladro. Is my guess on the pronunciation. It almost looks, with the greatest respect to all countries, or both countries involved, this looks Welsh. Ladro. Have you heard of Ladro before?
I've never heard of them before, no.
Okay. Limited edition, 504, $2,500. This is a porcelain Darth Vader, which is $2,500. I could have gone a celebration for that, right? To put that into context, I could have got a flight and stayed in a hotel, got a celebration for the cost of this porcelain Darth Vader. It's lost on me why anyone would want this. If I looked at that figure, it just looks like a Darth Vader sort of bookend. And I don't get it. So I'm confused. So maybe I'm not the right person for this podcast, because to me that looks like a £20 figure.
It doesn't look great. I mean, it's nearly half a metre tall, so it's 48 centimetres. If that's any help, it's it's big lump.
Yeah, so it's a big lump now, which is just wood in the way.
Yeah, I mean, there's no detail on it, is there? It's very. You can see it's a statue, can't you? It's not like a hot toy where if you photographed it from certain angles, you'd have to look a bit harder. But I think it's a little bit like the pewter stuff we discussed a couple of months back. Is it the Royal Cylinder stuff?
Yes.
I think there must be to go out there and say, right, we're making 500 of these and we want $2,500 a pop. There must be a market for it, right? Because you wouldn't go to all that expense and trouble to build the thing in the first place. But yeah, I won't be dropping $2,000 on that.
But then something which you may be dropping, but then you saw this and now you've just seen the Hot Toys, is Cad Bane again, 1/10 scale from Iron Studios. So this is 22 centimetres, so just over 8.5 inches. It's a Cad Bane on a plinth. $150. I think you could do anything Cad Bane and it would just look awesome. Looks awesome as a cake, looks awesome as 3 3/4, looks awesome as Black Series Hot Toys. It's just an outstanding character which just crosses over so much and brings that sort of Wild West look to Star Wars. I love all of the Cad Bane stuff. I really, really do. What do you think of this? And what do you think of it next to, say, the Hot Toys? I mean,
I suppose there's two ways of looking at it, isn't there? I mean, if you buy the Hot Toy, generally I'll pose mine, put it in my cabinet, and then it will stay posed in the same position for months and months on there. And occasionally I'll move some of them around, but generally they'll stay locked away behind glass. So I kind of get the point of having a statue. The only thing I'd say about this, they are quite a bit smaller than the Hot Toys, a 12-inch scale. These are just over 8.5 inches tall. Size matters, doesn't it, Jez? At the end of the day.
Yeah.
And you've got the flexibility. I mean, it's only 150. I say it's only, but it's $150. So what's that? 120 quid, 100 quid, somewhere around that mark. All right, you've got to factor in shipping and probably customs fees because it's from Sideshow. But I think I will stick with the Hot Toys when it comes to Cad Bane, if I get Cad Bane.
So that's it for my look at the sort of miscellaneous extras. Some hits and some misses, I'd say. A good fair mix. I do absolutely love that Leia. I think that Leia's outstanding. We're just going to interrupt this podcast for a quick commercial break. Dave, toy seller extraordinaire, just very briefly, your shop, how long have you been running All the Cool Stuff?
All the cool stuff, I'm having to kind of think about this. All the cool stuff genuinely materialized in 2005, but for official reasons, because it just started off as a way for me to finance what I was like buying, and we've all done that in the sense of like, oh my gosh, this stuff is costing an arm and a leg. I started selling toys and bits and pieces back in 2005, but then All the Cool Stuff was officially where it was like sort of like taking off. I had to create it as a business entity for tax reasons, because it was getting to a point where you were going over like the thresholds. So in 2007, All the Cool Stuff was created as a legal entity, but it wasn't until 2009 that I actually opened up as an actual shop in Fordingbridge in Hampshire. And for those who are not familiar with where that is, it's down near the south coast. If you think of the Isle of Wight, it's just up from there. And then if you have Bournemouth and Southampton on the south coast, and then Salisbury to the north as a triangle, All the Cool Stuff is in the middle on the corner of the New Forest. Fordingbridge is the northern gateway to the New Forest. A lovely part of the world if you've never been. It's a national park with lots of animals roaming free, but it's about an hour away, or an hour and 20 minutes from London, and you're about 20 minutes from the beach. From there, started to do events as well, and farthest from is probably the most well known to Star Wars collectors on that front, which is a vintage retro toy show that we hold in Fordingbridge Town Hall, which is literally opposite the shop. Very convenient. And from there we expanded it out to do family fun days to raise money for charities and local projects and causes. And they've been going on for a good 10 years, I'd say now. I can never keep count of farthest from, but
22.
It's in the 20-somethings. Pre-pandemic, they were 3 times a year, so you'd have spring, summer, and winter ones. Post-pandemic, we've only had one so far, but we did do online live streaming endeavors during lockdowns, which were a killer to do. But I'm very proud of doing them. You know, they're very much symptomatic of what was going on in our lives, like each one of us at that point in time, and it's almost like a time capsule in itself. But they're pretty great. And I never say that about anything that I do. I'm very harsh and critical. So for me to actually be proud of something is fairly rare.
That was a monster effort, though, wasn't it? That
weekend. It was
huge.
It was quite, looking back for the Empire Strikes Back one, where that was like 12 hours of live streaming content. You know, that was quite a feat, and that really just genuinely couldn't have been done without the help of several people as well, with Mark Newbold from Panther Tracks, Mark Mulcaster from the Rebel Legion, Martin Keeler, and Simon Downs, who is Bowman's Green, who was really done all the production work on it, you know, and everybody else who like contributed with like content and things like that. It was great. But all the cool stuff is a toy shop. So we are in a tourist town, so this time of year it's fairly quiet, but like people starting to like, you know, go camping and holiday in the New Forest. But we do all the latest toys and collectibles. So where we've been talking through the show all about the pre-orders, we have those go up and live at the same time that Hasbro tells everybody to get for them to go live. But where we have those online, you can also just like ring up the store. We do like mail order over the phone if you can't make the shop. But if you can make the shop, it's very tiny, it's very small, but like it's packed from like floor to ceiling, full of stuff. Quite often there's a lot of more stuff that we don't actually have on the website that's in the shop. So again, if there's things that are sold out online, by all means give us a quick shout. You never know, we might have one on the pegs to be able to help you out. But we're an independent toy retailer, so we're not tied or linked to any buying group or chain, which allows us to be able to the freedom to pick and choose, but also to actually make sure that everybody gets the products at the best possible prices. And that might sound a bit weird, but normally when you're like ordering from like independents, and you know, we've all got usual suspects. Everybody should be familiar with In Demand Toys, Star Action Figures, Kapow Toys. You normally find that they are a little bit cheaper because we all are able to offer those to allow collectors the best chance, you know, at the best price, because this is not a cheap hobby and we're all into it as much as anybody else. But because we're independent, we're able to do that. So you normally find that you know, some people question, did you get that for a good price? The answer is yes, you did, because you know, you're going through like independent stockists and retailers. But if we can help out with anything, it'd be my pleasure to help out where possible, and I'll do my best to help. We've also got coming up in the 8th to the 10th of July, London Film and Comic Con, and that's a biggie because that's at London Olympia. That's part of Showmasters. That's the crown jewel event of the year. And back in 2019, I managed this an area of the show that they had down called the Star Wars Zone, and within that it was a focal point for all things related to Star Wars, and you had like costuming groups and activities all related to Star Wars there, plus also access to fan created content, so like news sites and podcasts and things like that. And it was so successful that I've been invited to do it again. So at the request of Showmasters, we'll be running the Star Wars Zone again in a few weeks' time. So if you've not been to London Film and Comic Con, get yourselves down there. It's an amazing, it's all day Friday, Saturday and Sunday. There's a whole heap of Star Wars guests. This is the show where they get the big A-listers down for it. And I can't even remember who they've got because I don't really do the autograph thing, but I'm sure that there's some big name Star Wars guys that are there for it. But Star Wars Zone, you've got returning again, Panther Tracks. You'll be able to meet the team at Panther Tracks, and they will have a whole showcase of bits and pieces that are going on, and you'll be able to like meet the team and talk about some of the things that they've all been working on. You've also got the costuming group, so you've got the most recognised is the UK Garrison. They'll be in attendance, but you've also got the Rebel Legion and also the Mandalorian Mercs as well. Rebel Legion are bringing like a Tantive 4 corridor So you'll be able to like get yourself pictured on the blockade runner, which is quite cool. And there'll be a few other sort of like sets and bits and pieces. Also got Darth Elvis, who, if you've never come across before, Darth Elvis, or Greek Robertson, as he's known by on the 9 to 5 and on Desert Planet Discs podcast, he'll be doing a 2-set performance on Saturday and Sunday, and he, in the style, if you've never come across him, he's an awesome performer in the style of Elvis, singing songs that you know. Some of them are Elvis hits, and some of them are other classics. But he's changed the wording to have a Star Wars twist. There are plenty of other things that I cannot quite announce just yet, but I'm sure that they will be announced via like Generation Skywalker. But most of all, you guys are going to be there as well, which is absolutely fantastic. So the Generation Skywalker team will be at London Film and Comic Con. So anybody listening to this, if you've been a fan of any of the shows, if you've been a fan of all the content, if you've been a fan of all the reviews, and even like social media groups, like all of like the polls and things like that have been going on, this is your opportunity to come and see the guys. And I'm sure the team, again, probably can't talk about it just yet. I've got a few nice things planned out, but I believe you guys, what I can say is I believe you guys are going to be doing a live recording panel as well on one of the days. So if you want to come and be part of a podcast or participate, there's your opportunity there. But yeah, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be hot. It always is. It's like you're like melting, but it's such good fun. And last year, 2019, collectively we're raising money in the zone for Angelman, Great Ormond Street Hospital, and the Alexander Devine Children's Hospice. And I think it was just short of £3,000 that was raised over the last event for all three of those groups. Which is phenomenal. So not only is it great fun, not only is it a chance to kind of see fan created content, and all these the great stuff that we all enjoy and love. Not only is it the Comic-Con and all the guests and everything else and all the other sellers that are there, but we're also raising money for some worthy causes as well. Plus the running Stormtrooper, he'll be there.
Handsome chap.
And he's going to be wearing it all weekend.
That's right, yeah. It's going to be really hot. You're dripping.
I can reveal, though, that I don't know if those of you listening, if you remember a few months ago, I emailed Lee Ward from The Good, the Bad and the Robots. Lee has actually, I've received it today. I've got it in my hand. I'm not going to say what hot toy it is, but he's actually sent us a hot toy to give away at the event. So we'll figure out how we're going to give that away. But if you want to win yourself a hot toy, get yourself down to Olympia that weekend and you've got a good chance of, bagging yourself a hot toy.
That is amazing.
Now there's an incentive in itself.
That really is good.
Yeah.
David, I'm a little bit cross with you, though, because I want to talk about your toy shop, and we have spoken about the toy shop, but you've failed spectacularly to do something crucial.
You can visit us at www.allthecoolstuff.co.uk or give the shop a bell on, if you're within the UK, 01425 650 696, or come visit us at 64 High Street in Fordingbridge in Hampshire.
Perfect. Thank you very much. There's the phone number. Pick up the phone, give them a call. Go on to it. Yeah, once again, allthecoolstuff.co.uk. So many different things, which I'm looking at live now. And get it done.
And like Dave says, we will be posting heavily on social media in the coming weeks with everything we've got lined up. Once we figure it all out, we'll start telling everyone what it is we'll be up to.
Yeah, I mean, genuinely, it was, the last one was such a great vibe, because what you had were the things that we had put in place. Because really, like, the costumers form the backbone of this, so it was all built around the costumers. But then you had all the people that turn up that are then like, oh, well, this is where I'm hanging out for the whole day, and they're in their costumes as well. And where we've been talking a lot about Obi-Wan for this episode, there was an amazing, what was the name of it? Was it the second sister in Rebels?
Yes, the one that, what's her name played? I can't think of her name now. But Sarah Gellar. Was it Sarah Gellar?
Yes. Yeah. So there was an amazing second sister. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. So it's like, are you part of the garrison? And they were like, oh no, we just like come in. It's like, for now, and their outfits were absolutely phenomenal. So you get all these. There's a wampa walking around at one point, and it's like, where I said it was like really hot. I mean, that person must have been absolutely dying in there. But it was such a good vibe. It was really fantastic and very much well received. There was like product displays, there was like Lego displays, there was a little toy exhibition for what was the 20th anniversary of the Phantom Menace at that point. So now the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones. So I think Jez has got to put himself to work to where he's been saying that he loves all of these Attack of the Clones rediscoveries and stuff like that. There could be some content related to that sort of thing there as well. And then also, by this point, we'd have wrapped up Kenobi, so everybody be like hyped about Kenobi and then looking forward to like Andor and the Bad Batch and things like that. So yeah, it's a lot to look forward to. And if you guys can make it and you just love TV and film in general, you'll absolutely love the show.
And Dave, thank you so much for involving us in it and inviting us down. I know we've not done it yet, but in case we don't get a chance again to thank you in person on the podcast, I'm sure we will. Take the opportunity now.
Well, I mean, you guys have literally, it can never be said enough. What you guys have been doing is phenomenal work, and not to necessarily pigeonhole yourself in one area of like this fandom. You've been going, into areas. And I think what's really nice is literally, as what's been discussed, is like the rediscovery or the discovery of new things gets you excited and enthusiastic about it. So that really, 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 really came across when you started off the modern way. And I can tell you, I was in lockdown. I was like literally like 10 feet from where I'm sat now, and I was painting the brickwork out the back. And I was listening to the 40th anniversary Empire show, and you were talking about the probe droids and how Disney had done one, but then also Black Series had done one, and you were all. And I remember I was up a ladder, like painting some breeze blocks. And I was like listening to it. I was like, wow, this is really cool, because it's not something I'd associate you guys ever talking about this sort of stuff. And then you went one further to then do the book month, and that was really, really cool. I don't really get to read, or I'm not into the novel side of things, but I listened with great interest to all of those because it covered the whole spectrum. But also it was pushing you guys as well, because you weren't necessarily all familiar with the things that you're going to be talking about, so you were having to research it yourself. There was the funny bits in there where it was like talking about like the fan votes for the covers and stuff like that. So you're bringing in like elements that are fun in there as well. And then you're doing like Attack of the Clones. And this is what I mean. You've probably done more in that 1 month than Lucasfilm and Disney have done, full stop, for acknowledging the Attack of the Clones. And you had like a celebration. I know they did a panel and stuff like that, but that's what you would expect them to do at the very least. There's not been like a continuous program of this stuff. So folks that are listening to this, you've never had it so good. You really are spoilt with the amount of content that is pumped out by everybody as a whole. But like the fan communities literally do not get the spotlight shine on them enough. So it's nice that showmasters take that opportunity or advantage, take that opportunity to give that platform and give that like that sounding base to be able to do it, because so much work goes into any of these things. Nobody gets paid for it, so we're all suckers. But it proves that we genuinely love the stuff, because we're all involved, and things change, things migrate, attitudes, people, what have you, but like fundamentally it's still revolving around this whole thing, which is still the concept of Generation Skywalker. It's a generational thing. So you guys, I can't give you enough credit. So by having you there, if you weren't there, it wouldn't be the same. So you're absolutely integral to being part of any of that sort of thing.
Well, that's really kind of you to say. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, a great endorsement. We'll have to do a Skywalker blast just for that.
Yeah,
I think.
Just put that at the beginning.
Oh no, don't.
Thank you, Dave. No, it's appreciated. We appreciate all feedback, good and bad, but that's really good. Thank you.
I love you.
I know.
So there we have it, guys. We've made it to the end. We've covered a lot of ground. If you could add one of those items to your collection that we discussed tonight that you haven't already got on pre-order, what would you be selecting? Jez, put you on the spot first.
Yeah. Okay, the Sideshow Iron Studios Cad Bane. It's just amazing. It looks brilliant. It's so well sculpted. I love it.
For me, it would actually be the Lego Dagobah. I just really like it. I think it's just really nicely done, and it's exactly the sort of thing that would just sit on a bookshelf and is more ornamental rather than a playset. But I think it's just done really nice and simple. Reminds me of the Micro Machine playsets as well. So it's not exactly done to the scale of what it was on the set, but it's like done for the purposes of like this is a Lego product. You know, with the wing of the X-wing there, and you've got like the hut and like the characters in the jungle, the sort of like the vines all hanging down. Yeah, I just really like it. That would be the one for me.
It would have been the Luke Besbin, but as I've got that on pre-order, I'm not gonna cheat. I'm gonna go with the Lego as well. I'm gonna go with the Death Star Trench Run though. I really like that. I think that's a game like you already said. I think
both great.
Really cool up on a shelf, wouldn't it?
The Dagobah one reminds me of the Ewok Village one, which they did with those sort of hangy down bits. I remember doing that with my son, but just seeing the wing coming up out of the swamp, it's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a nice little touch. You know, it's just really nicely done and presented as well, where you've got like the actual black rimmed base. You know, it's not a toy. It's not on a base plate. It's done on a plinth like that. So yeah, I think it's just lovely and just really, really tastefully done.
So yes, come and find us over on Facebook. Come and search for Generation Skywalker and seek us out there. We've also got the We Are Generation Skywalker group, which is a private group, but you can join that, and one of us will let you in, so you can come and talk to us about Star Wars and see what's going on. We're also over on Twitter. Come follow us on Twitter and over on Instagram. And recently, myself and Jez have set up 2 Instagram pages. I've set up a modern page that focuses purely on modern collectibles. If that's your bag, come and find that. That's Gen_Skywalker Modern. And imaginatively, Jez, your vintage one's called
Gen_Skywalker_vintage. Funny old thing.
So we've got dedicated pages now. They're both linked to our main Instagram account. But if you have a preference one way or the other, please come and or even follow both pages and see what we've got going on over there. If you can't remember any of that, please head over to www.generationskywalker.com, where you can find links to all of our shows and all of our social media pages. With that, it's goodbye from myself, and it's goodbye from Jez.
See you next time.
And it's goodbye from Mr. Dave Tree.
Thanks for having me on, guys, and goodbye to everyone out there listening.
Thank you so much, Dave. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been brilliant having you on.
Aww.
And we are Generation Skywalker.